So we try this. All right. Still can't hear. No volume. It's very weird. So I might have to plug out the headphones, and we'll do it that way. And plug in the mic if that's the issue. Still no volume. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, Jennifer said, thank you, Jennifer. Okay, Jennifer said, okay. All right. So I guess y'all missed everything I said in the intro. So let me go back. Thank you, Jennifer Jordan. All right. So what was happening is this. So I was suspended for the last 2 weeks from YouTube, right? Okay, thanks, Reese. I was suspended the last 2 weeks from YouTube. Now, the reason I was suspended is the first week. First of all, greetings to y'all. Peace, power, and prosperity to everyone. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Hope you're doing well. Hope your family's doing well. Hope you're healthy, wealthy, and wise. And if you're not, I hope you're moving in that direction. So I got suspended for the last couple of weeks from YouTube. The first strike I got was because I talked about the Roni. Y'all know what the Roni is. I've been talking about the Roni forever. So y'all should know what the Roni is by now. I was talking about herbs that would help fight the Roni. And they gave me a strike for medical misinformation. During my strike, they went back and hit my other video called the Corona Upgrade and hit me with another strike, right? So they gave me 2 strikes literally within 1 week. And they suspended me for 2. So they suspended me for the first week and they suspended me for another week, right? So I had a Lizzo video ready for y'all, ritual video ready for y'all and all that I was going to do. Went to upload it, boom, I was struck. So this is what happened. So this is why you guys haven't seen me for a while. My apologies for that, but it was actually a pretty good thing that you guys didn't hear from me for a while because of the things that were happening. And basically, it gave me a lot of time to really sit down and think. We'll do a lot more reading and a lot more research, stuff that I normally do, but just read deep dive into the books. I haven't really been in the books as much as I wanted to, so this kind of gave me an opportunity to do so. So I was very thankful for that. So everything happens for a reason. So the reason you guys haven't seen me, this is the big reason. But let's get into the topic for today, and this leads into the topic. We all know what's been happening recently with the mandates, right? With them pushing the hokey pokey like crazy. But I want to go more into how we can, those of us that are in this occult community, those of us that know about magic, those of us that work with altars, those of us that work with herbs, roots, take spirit baths, wear crystals, yada, 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 right? Those of us that are tapped to our ancestors, meditating, right? But most importantly, those of us that are in the occult community. Because just being a meditator is different than having a connection with your ancestors. It's totally different than having a connection with the spirit world, right? So 2 totally different things, even though meditating, it's all spirit baths, and, lighting candles and all those things help, right? But a true occultist is not only working with the left-hand path, the true occultist is working with the left-hand path and the right-hand path as one. Because what we're trying to do is get out of divisiveness, right? This world is all about pitting you against each other. And I always talk about this. It's always black versus white, right? Now it's the people that have the hokey pokey versus the people that don't have the hokey pokey, right? Last year, it was Black Lives Matter versus white cops, right? So there's always the division that they're putting out there for us. There's always a separation. And the separation is what leads us to our downfall, because when you are separate, when you are looking at one side of things, you're not seeing the whole picture. If I'm in an argument, right? If I have an issue with somebody, right? And I bring it to you, and you already, let's say me me and a person that you know, right, have an argument or have an issue. If me and that person that you know have an argument or an issue, and I bring it to you, and you don't know me, you may have a prejudice more so towards the person that you know, because that's a person that you know. You may have done things with them, hung out with them, you know what I'm saying? Swap, spit, had sex, who knows, right? You know, that person, you know, y'all might have rolled in the sandbox together, right? Who knows? But that person you broke bread, right? That person you have a stronger connection to. So you might have more, even though I might be telling you the truth on my side of the story, you might take up for their side of the story because you know them. You have an alignment with them, right? But a true occultist, a person that's truly following a spiritual path, a person that's truly following an esoteric path, they look for the truth. They're not looking for, this is my friend, or this is somebody I know. That's emotionalism. That's your emotional connection. But a person that is truly arbitrary, a person that is truly looking for justice, a person that is truly looking for truth, doesn't matter where they get it from. Truth could be found in a child. Truth could be found in a homeless person. Truth could be found from grandma, grandpa. Truth could be found from a gangbanger. Truth could be found from someone in prison, someone who came out of prison. Truth could be found from someone who has no legs, has no arms. Truth could be found from someone who is high on crack. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. I'm laughing, but seriously, truth can be found anywhere if one is not looking at division, if one is not looking for opposites, and if one is not locked in what I call the Masonic chessboard of black and whites, right? You're looking at things that were given to you and you are at odds. If you are at odds with people that are pro or anti hokey pokey, and y'all should know what I'm talking about with the hokey pokey, I'm using code words here. If you're pro or at odds with someone who is hokey pokey, then you really need to assess your Christianity. I mean, your Christianity. You might be Christian if you're doing that, but you really need to assess your spirituality and where it's coming from. So let's get into what we're talking about today. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. And let's get into it. So when we're talking about Conjure, now, first and foremost, rest in peace to everyone who lost someone in the recent, everyone who lost someone during a recent hurricane. You know, it's funny how news works. You know, the hurricanes just hit pretty much last week and the week before. And it's like people have moved on already. You know, people are not really talking about the impact of Ida on Louisiana here in the States. People are really not talking about the Haiti earthquakes anymore and the impact of Ida on the earthquakes in Haiti, right? People are not talking about these things anymore because now these mandates have passed and everybody's now shifted their focus into how am I going to survive? How am I going to feed my family without taking this? We're going to get into some tips and techniques, some things you can do, right? And some things you should be looking out for as well, so that you could fight this and you don't have to be a victim, right? You could be a victor. And there are ways and things that you could do to make these things happen, all right? All right, thank you, Jennifer. So let's get into, so again, rest in peace to everybody in New York. I'm in New York City. I lived in a basement apartment at one point here in New York City. And if I still lived in that basement apartment, I would have died. This is a fact. Because I've never seen anything like that in my life, right? And I lived in several states. I've never seen anything like this that happened. The water was, it was coming down. It looked like a bucket, like somebody had a bucket of water and just turned the bucket over. That's how the rain was coming. Like it was like somebody had a bucket of water and just flipped that bucket and the rain was just coming down, coming down, coming down. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like that, right? So the way my apartment was set up at the time is the water would have came down that driveway and I wouldn't have been able to push my door out to get out of the basement. And the top of the basement, my landlord at the time always kept the top locked because that's their apartment. So a lot of people in New York City, I'm sure in Philadelphia, we're hit as well, live in basements. So a lot of these people that died are people that lived in basements and just couldn't get out. So rest in peace to everybody in New York, New Jersey, Cuba, Louisiana, Connecticut, Philly, all these places, New Orleans, all these places where this hit, rest in peace to them, Rest in peace to the ancestors and everyone who is still recovering. We don't want to dismiss them. We want to remember them and honor them as well. So I share and I say to them. So when we're talking about water, right, we see these events that are happening. We have to really understand why these events are happening. And we have to look at the spiritual reason as to why these events are happening. Because they're not just happening for no reason. Hurricanes don't just happen. Yeah, I know a lot of people like to say HARP and things like that. Yeah, that's part of it. But again, the earth is its own entity. The earth has its own magnetic field. The earth is going to rebel if the earth wants to rebel. The earth is not going to just take humans destroying it. The earth is going to fight back. It is its own living entity. It has its own core, which is its own heart. It grows just like we grow. It ages just like we age. It goes through different changes and transformations just like we do. We eat the earth. We are made of the earth. We eat animals and roots and greens and, drink water and juices that come from the earth, eat fruits and vegetables that come from the earth. So we are one with the earth. So before the earth goes down, humans are going to go down first and foremost. So they could harp and try to manipulate the planet all they want, but they won't be able to, humanity will not survive. The earth will outlive humanity as it has since the dinosaurs. It will outlive humanity before humanity destroys it. So never worry about the powers, the quote unquote powers that be, so-called powers that be, destroying the earth. That's not going to happen. The earth will fight back. And that is what you are seeing happen. So when we talk about conjuring, we talk about spirit, right? Spirit is an invisible force. Spirit is a force that we cannot see. We cannot touch. We cannot grab. We cannot hold it and hug it, right? We cannot kiss spirit, right? But spirit is felt, okay? And when Ida hit here, here in New York City, the interesting thing about it was, and I was talking to my homegirl. I could say, I know she might not want me to say it, but I was talking to my homegirl about it. And, it was just talking about how, and I was talking about my homeboy after too. And we were just talking about how high, these are people that are into the occult as well and things like that. And we were talking about how high the vibe was, like the energy, the day of, the day after, and even a couple of days after, and even now, it's still kind of in the air where it was like a refreshing energy. It's really hard to explain it in words, but it was an energy that it was a high vibe, even though the rain was coming down like crazy, it was floods, the vibration was high frequency, high vibe. You could feel it in your soul. You could feel it in your bones. And maybe people couldn't, I don't know if because we're in tune, because we're doing this type of work, right? And maybe most people didn't feel it, but I could, and I confirmed it with other people. You could feel the energy. And it made me think of why these hurricanes and why these floods really happen and what they symbolically represent, because as above, so below. So let's get into it a little bit and let me share the screen. I'm gonna go into let's do this. Oh, that's not what I wanted to share. Hold on. And we're just going to go into a little bit. Let's do this first and foremost. Do this here. So I just want to show you some things that's happening on the planet. And we'll go into a little bit more of this Conjure and why we need to make Conjure great again, all right? Because that is really the main title and the main thing that I felt. And I was like, those of us that are in the vanguard, those of us that are in the occult, those of us that know better, we have a different responsibility than everybody else out here. And part of this responsibility is for us to be able to call on our ancestors at will, for us to be able to tap into spiritual forces, to tap into angels, even demons, right? Those of you who are deep into the esoteric arts, right? We know we have the ability to tap into spiritual forces and use them for our advantage. We have the ability to tap into spell work and use it to our advantage. So let's go into, first and foremost, let's go into what is conjure, right? Let's have a working definition. So conjure, definition of conjure, is to charge or entreat earnestly or solemnly, to summon by or as if by invocation or incantation. So in the Bible, they say in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word became a God. That's John 1:1. There were also herbs in the spiritual community that we call Hijacking, okay? So John, what they're talking about, and when we're talking about conjure, we are talking about creating and bringing forth spirits. We're talking about bringing forth spirits, bringing forth entities, bringing things up to affect by or as if by magic, okay? And it goes up to conjured up the clever plan, arrange the money, or as they conjure pleasure images, so forth and so on, okay? So let's go into a little bit of space weather. So this was yesterday, September 11th. Rest in power to everyone who went through any sort of, lost anybody through 9/11 in New York City or any place else. You know, if you lost someone, rest in power to them. But this is from yesterday. And it says this is space weather. So this is what's going on. It says last week, 3 CMEs missed Earth. So CMEs are coronal mass ejections. They are basically, it's basically when the sun explodes, they eject these coronal mass ejections. And we already know what's happening right now, what the name of this viral thing that's happening is. So coronal mass ejection. So basically it's when more heat is hitting the Earth, when more energy from space is hitting the Earth. So we actually, when this happens, the Earth is actually more prepped for us to do magic, because the more energy we have, the more energy we could produce. The more energy we receive from outer space, which is our celestial home, the more energy we are able to now reproduce here on Earth. So it is a give and take. Everything is an energy exchange. So it says 3 missed Earth, right? So it says, will this weekend be different? Another CME is on the way, following an explosion in the magnetic canopy of sunspot AR2864 on September 8th. So it says, it believes that Earth can experience a glancing glow or near miss late on September 11th. All right, so I didn't pull this up for today, so let's see if it hit today, okay? All right, so it says still waiting for the CMD. Hope is fading that Aurora-produced CME might strike Earth this weekend. The storm cloud left the sun of September 8th, blah, 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 blah. And we thought it might grate our planet on September 11th, so it has not yet arrived. 2 options remain, tardy off target. So it didn't hit me, okay? So it says 3 of those missed Earth. So if one hits Earth, basically it's gonna mess up the internet and shut down communications. But that doesn't mean that because it missed Earth that we didn't receive any of that energy, right? And if you think about last week, right, with the hurricanes, right, some of that energy, you would say, hit Earth, okay? You could say some of that because this was just last week when we had these different things, okay? So let's go. So we went into what Conjure is, right? So the name of this particular storm was Ida, okay, Hurricane Ida. And when I saw Hurricane Ida, I was like, oh, this is talking about the Ida and the Pingala, okay? It's talking about the Ida and the Pingala. Now, let's go into before. So the Ida is connected to the right hemisphere of the brain, which governs the whole left side of the body. Ida is associated with the parasympathetic nervous system, which relaxes the body and lowers blood temperature. Ida is known as Chandra Nadi because its energy is like the moon, cooling, relaxing, and introverting. When Ida flows, mental activity is predominant. Ida supports mental activity. To control Ida, the breath in the left nostril is manipulated. So this is called, so the hurricane is called Ida, okay? So when we're talking about the right hemisphere of the brain, we're talking about the imaginative, the creative, the visualization part of the brain, the part of the brain that comes up with images, okay? This is the feminine part of the brain, the parasympathetic nervous system, which relaxes the body and lowers body temperature. So when you go into meditation, when you are in some sort of, when you're having sex, the parasympathetic is engaged. Your body's relaxed, your body temperature is lower. You're engaging with someone else. So your parasympathetic is engaged. When you are in any sort of meditative trance, even daydreaming, which is another form of meditative trance, right? Your body's relaxed. When you are sleeping, your parasympathetic takes over, okay? So Ida is known as Chandra Nadi because its energy is like the moon, cooling, relaxing, and introverted, okay? So this is the right side of the brain. Let's go to the left side of the brain, Pingala. So Pingala is connected to the left hemisphere of the brain, which controls the whole right side of the body. It's associated with the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is what deals with fight or flight, basically. So when you have, you know, when you're dealing with the world and you have to, you know, you're driving your car, you have to watch out for other cars, you're out in the street, you have to watch out for other people, you're in the grocery store, you want to make sure nobody doesn't bump you. You know, if they're coughing, do they have a mask? Oh shit, am I going to walk into the cough cloud? You know what I'm saying? So these are things when you're on alert. Right now, talking to you guys, my sympathetic nervous system is engaged. I'm coming up with thoughts, ideas, I have to keep it moving, you know, try my best to keep it entertaining. So this is the sympathetic nervous system that is at play. This deals with this, it makes the body active and heats the body. Okay. Pingala is known as Surya Nadi because its energy is like the sun, heating, energizing, and extroverting. Okay. Now, this hurricane was not called Pingala. This hurricane was called Ida. So this hurricane hit in places where, and so let's just go through this. So its energy is like the sun, heating, energy, and extrovert, okay? So this left side of the brain is dealing with mathematics, reasoning, logic, systems, anything that deals with extroverting, talking out loud, communications with people, connecting with the environment, right? But again, this hurricane was not called Pingala. This hurricane was called Ida. So the significance is that it is trying to get us in a mode where we are relaxed, we are introverted, and where we are in control of ourselves. And basically, this deals with our feminine nature, all right? And as you see in this particular picture, it shows that the Pingala is the divine masculine, and the Ida is the divine feminine, okay? So this divine feminine that we're talking about right here is the energy that was ushered in with this Ida hurricane. Look at the places where this hurricane hit. The hurricane hit Cuba. Cuba pretty much is the home of Lucami, right? Which is an esoteric, occult, spiritual system. Lucami or Santeria, right? People practice there. Then it hit Haiti, right? Haiti. We all know Haiti is the home of voodoo. What voodoo is basically ancestral worship, working with the Orisha. If you are, or working with the saints, right? Which is basically what slaves, so-called slaves used, or prisoners of war used to cover up their working with the Orishas. Okay, so if you work with Saint Expedite or working with the Virgin Mary, things like that. Virgin Mary is a prototype for Isis, or archetype for Isis, or archetype for Osset, you know what I'm saying? And things of that nature, Shakti as well. So these different places, Cuba, Haiti, then it hit New Orleans, right? New Orleans, you may know about Marie Laveau, right? And the ties that New Orleans has to Papa Legba and the crossroads and things like that, right? Or Legba. So these, and then it hit New York. Okay, New York, Coma Pascal Beverly Randolph. Pascal Beverly Randolph was a metaphysician and magician in the 18th century. He basically was here in New York City in Manhattan, a Black man, and he laid the blueprint for magic and esoteric studies here in the States. Madame Blavatsky, who founded the Theosophical Society, which is another realm of esoteric magic. She basically, now Pascal Beverly Randolph, who was again a brother, he died in mysterious circumstances. Then a couple of years later, Madame Blavatsky came out. So it was often rumored, if you study these stories, that Madame Blavatsky, basically stole the work of Pascal Beverly Randolph in order to form the Theosophical Society. But so it hit New York, right? And then it went further up the East Coast until it was gone. And the interesting thing about it going through the East Coast is New York is a place where these mandates was popping. And New Orleans, from what I heard, had some mandates popping as well. So these magical centers, right? And going back to Madame Blavatsky, so you had Pascal Beverly Randolph, Madame Blavatsky, then you had Aleister Crowley, who was a student of Madame Blavatsky. And Aleister Crowley got big basically from the Beatles and other rock groups, heavy metal groups, using these teachings and putting their artwork and putting the imagery and putting some of their sayings in the music and in the musical presentations of these heavy metal and these rock groups. So this is how this and it's also a way that magic or esoteric study and theology was preserved in America, okay? Because you couldn't really give it to Black people because Black people had no rights at the time, right? Pascal Beverly Randolph was the exception. So now, the divine feminine was coming online, okay? Was coming online with this particular hurricane. So it is begging us environmentally to look within ourselves. The divine feminine is internal work. The divine feminine is the cooling, relaxing, and introverting energy. So introverting energy is us to look at the invisible within ourselves. Because when you look, you cannot see. If you look, you can't see your insides. You can't see your blood pumping. You can't see your heart moving. You can't see your blood cells going back and forth throughout your body. You can't see the microbes that are crawling on your arm. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all can't even see what's the dirt under your nails. You know what I'm saying? You can't see certain things that are happening. You know what I'm saying? The crust in your toes. Some of these things you cannot see, but the things that are building up in your body, you know, the waste that is in your gut right now that is being digested through your large and small intestine. Okay? So the invisible part of you is much more powerful, even in the physical realm. The spiritual, invisible part of you is way more powerful and more influential than the physical, visible part of you, even just on a tangible plane. Now, if we talk about the universe, 99% of the universe is invisible. Most of what we see in the universe, most of what we call the universe is unseen. And just for receipts purposes. Okay, this is 4%, but I got different. But still, 96% of the universe is something that astronomers do not know. Okay, so basically, we cannot see, detect, or even comprehend. This is called dark energy or dark matter. Now, this dark energy or dark matter, I would posit, is within you as well. Okay, it is connected to your breath because spirit means breath. And I've talked about this before, but if you look at the etymology of the word spirit, in all traditions, spirit means breath or wind. Okay, our word spirit is derived from the Latin spiritus, which means breath. So for the Greek, spirit is known as pneuma, which a term which also means breath. Okay, the Hebrew word ra synonymous with wind, Yahweh. Okay, so you see people calling Jesus Yahweh. Well, they're basically talking about the wind. Okay, Yahweh is derived from the root HWY, which also means wind. Okay, so when people say they are spiritual, right? Anyone can be spiritual, right? A demon is spiritual. A wicked person is spiritual. A good person is spiritual. A tree is spiritual. A rat is spiritual. All right. Everything that breathes is spiritual. So everything has spirit in it. And this is where we're going into conjure. Okay. And how do we conjure up spirits? How do we conjure up through our breath? How do we conjure up spirit? How do we conjure up angels? How do we conjure up deities? How do we conjure up energy for ourselves? Well, we have to first start with, so we have to first go into what we are, wait, what is sorry. So we have to go into, that was weird. Give me 1 second. So let's go into, so we know what conjure is, right? We're bringing things up. We understand what spirit is. So the summon is by invocation or incantation. Now, the words that you say, the words that are coming into your mind, you can't see. When you're thinking, the words that you say, you don't have to necessarily speak. You could think of a word, like if I say pig, you're going to be thinking of the image of a pig. And you could even say pig in your mind, right? That's not necessarily something that a person can see with the naked eye, but it still exists. So you're conjuring up the image of a pig, you're conjuring up the sound of the word pig, and you're conjuring up the word, the letters P-I-G to make pig. So these are all things that are conjured up, okay? So you want to make this as simple as possible. We don't want to make this anything that is hard or difficult. Stray Panther said Shu. Yep, Shu is the wind. Exactly. Yep, he's on point. With Shu being the god of wind and Nut being the god of the sky. But let's continue. So we went into that. This is alternative. This is something I was looking into. This is something also you can help with your conjure game, which I'll get into. Alternate nostril breathing. And alternate nostril breathing, just to show you real quick, is basically how you are able to balance, one of the tools you can use to balance yourself out. So you can just breathe in, hold one side of your nose. All right. So you could do that. And they say if you do that up to 4 times, what that does is build, because most of us, we are breathing mostly primarily from one nostril. It's just the way we are as humans, right? We're mostly primarily breathing by one nostril. So if you ever feel off, or if you feel like confused, or you feel like, got some brain fog or everything like that, it does work. Okay, since I've learned about it, I've been doing it, it does work. So if you do it like, they say 4 times, but I say do it like 5, 6, 7 times at least. The more you do it, the better. Some articles say do it for 10 minutes. It's really up to you. But as you do it, it does clear your head. You do feel like a bit of, even now that I just did it, my head feels clearer. I'd have a little bit more clarity. My brain feels less foggy. So it does work. And it's a way to activate that Ida and Pingala energy, activate that parasympathetic and sympathetic energy. And the goal is really to, again, not be caught up in separation. because we realize we have an external and external within us. We realize we have masculine and feminine energy within us, okay? So this is not something that is foreign to us. So this is masculine energy. This is masculine energy. This is the brain. One side of your brain has masculine energy. One side of your brain has feminine energy. So when people say, oh, there's no gender, gender doesn't exist. Well, gender exists energetically. Gender exists in the brain. Gender exists when you're talking about daytime, when the sun is out, and when you're talking about nighttime, when it's cooler, when the moon is out. So energetically, gender fucking exists, okay? Don't let these people, and don't let the media, don't let society tell you different, all right? Because this is an exact science that you can prove, not only spiritually, but you could prove through the brain. And the sushumna, or the spinal cord, is where that energy, or that kundalini energy, comes up, which is, again, by doing that alternate breathing, you're actually stirring that kundalini energy, because all energy basically rises from the spine up, okay? When you get excited, energy is rising from the spine up. When you're excited about seeing somebody, and when you're nervous, you feel it first in your gut, okay? That's the energy coming from your spine and being able to rise in the brain. When you're nervous, you feel it in your gut, and it affects how you think, okay? So it all is coming from the root up. Everything starts from the root up, all right? So with that said, let's get into how we are able to conjure, or one way we're able to conjure. One way we're able to conjure is by using this particular mantra. And this mantra is Om. So you see it a lot in Hindu culture. So it says the Sanskrit graphic symbol of the Om mantra is composed of, well, we don't want to go into that. What I really want to do is to show you how Om and humming, or Om, using this in meditation, what it does is it stirs the waters that are within you. And even if you say it right now, like say it right now, take a second to say it. You should feel, if you're saying it over and over, you will feel your body vibrate. It'll put your body in a vibratory state. That vibration is basically stirring the 75% of water that is within. It's literally making the water vibrate. It's literally like a bed where you could implant thoughts, where you can implant ideas, you can implant a new future, you can implant new visions, et cetera, et cetera. It's one of the ways that you're able to conjure the best parts of you. All these little things that I'm giving you, and I'm going to give you through this lecture, are different tools for you to conjure the best part of you, for you to conjure up the spirits that you desire, the things that you want, and not just the things, but the person that you want to manifest in life. But everything that's happening nowadays, you should be able to see that the material things that you have don't really matter, right? Here, I'm sure people had the dopest basements, dopest cars, you know what I'm saying? And the hurricane Ida struck like a thief in the night. There was no warning. The only warning we had was that it was going to rain here in New York. But there was no real warning that it was going to come. It just came. There was no YouTuber that said it. There was no psychic that knew it. There was nobody that had any idea that predicted it. There was nobody on Twitter that tweeted about it. You know what I'm saying? There was no tarot card reader that read about it. It just came, okay? And either you were spiritually ready or you weren't spiritually ready, okay? And those that were spiritually ready, I believe, were able to escape, even those that were in tough situations. And I believe those that weren't, unfortunately, may have lost their life because of the way that it came. So we're trying to conjure up energy at the end of the day. We're trying to raise the sushumna energy. And by raising the sushumna energy, one of the ways of doing that is by going into, when we're meditating, using that mantra, Om, or Om. It's something that the Hindus do in their meditation. It is what they call a mantra, okay? And let's get into this. It says Om mantra meaning benefits meditation. Okay, you see the number 3 there. You actually have 3 different parts of your brain You have the R complex, which controls your physical movements, which is basically where your spinal cord and your nervous system, things like that. You have, and that's where your cerebellum, that little lump on the back of your head, your cerebellum and your spinal cord goes down. You have your limbic brain, which we're going to get into, which basically deals with your emotions and your memory. And then you have your frontal or prefrontal cortex, which is where you make your decisions and your rationale. So you have a holy trinity in your brain itself, okay? There's a holy trinity in your brain itself. So it says Om mantra literally means that which is sounded out loud. So it is the Sanskrit sound representing the divine energy, the vibration of the supreme, and the reflection of the absolute reality, okay? But you also see this in Kemetic mythology. And if you look at the Set or Orser, which Orser is Osiris. The Greek name for Orser is Osiris. The Egyptian name for Osiris is Orser. And Orser is what it says here. It says Orser is your true self, your true, entire, only, and ultimate purpose for being on earth. So this is Orser, your true self. Your true, entire, only, and ultimate purpose for being here on earth is the resurrection of this indwelling intelligence, that it may guide your endeavors in life with the same omniscience that it uses to guide your physiological and subconscious mental activities. Again, what's happening in your body right now, you cannot see, but it is running, okay? My breathing is I'm breathing, right? My body is being regulated. It's in a state of homeostasis. I'm sitting down, right? I am, microbes and microorganisms and biochemicals are moving throughout my body, okay? I have thoughts and ideas that are coming to my head right now, download, so to speak, right? But the mantra Om is in this Om Ser or Set, right? Which is the female version of Orser, or basically Orser's wife in Kemetic mythology. So this mantra is hidden. This is why it's very important. This is why I hesitate to use the terms Isis and I hesitate to use the terms Isis or Osiris, because those terms don't convey the vocal tone that is needed in order to conjure correctly. It doesn't contain this Om. You can see the Om right here, Om mantra, okay, or so, okay? So it doesn't contain the same mantra. So a lot of times when we're working with different deities or we're calling different deities, we're not even calling gods of our own so that we can make Conjure great again, all right? So, but let's see where we are primarily conjuring from, all right? So the eye of Horus, or the eye of Heru, right? This is the human limbic system, okay? If you look at this eye, and you look at the eye of Horus and the human limbic system, they are the same thing. Now, many people bring this up. They say, okay, these are the same thing, I'm looking at the same, they look alike, and that's it. That's where they stop. But what does the limbic system actually do? What does the limbic system actually do? That's what we want to get into. And we know Heru is a falcon, just to look at what the falcon, okay? And if you look, you see how it shows that there's an inner bird right here, okay? An inner bird right here. This is spinal, okay? This is cerebellum. This regulates your movement, your balance. If your cerebellum is fucked up, you're not going to be able to walk right. You're going to be off balance forever. But this is your inner bird. And this is basically the limbic system, all right? Where it has these different glands, the thalamus, pineal gland, the pituitary gland, and there are other glands as well. Now, so what is the limbic system? Okay, so it says the limbic system is said to have the oldest and most primitive, having formed many thousands of years ago. In fact, similar systems are also found in most animals, even reptiles. The limbic system was sometimes even referred to as the paleo-mammalian brain, okay? Although the limbic system works in areas of the brain in complex ways and therefore has more than just one role, the word that best describes what the limbic system controls would be emotions, okay? Emotions. So this limbic system part of the brain, this eye of Heru, this eye of Ra, this thing that we see people drawing, a lot of people are getting tattooed under their eye, you know what I'm saying? The young pharaohs and and Brother Polite's wearing under their eye and things like that. This is dealing with emotions, okay? This is dealing with mastering emotions. And the emotions, the energy in motion is what your spirit is. Your spirit is regulated by your breath. And does not your breath change when you have different emotions? When you are angry and stressed and tense, your heart beats faster. So your respiratory system changes. The output of breath changes. Your body physically changes. Blood ceases from rushing to your brain. Your IQ lowers, and the blood is going to your hands and your feet to prepare for fight or flight. Even if it's just you watching a stressful news story, the brain doesn't know the difference between reality. The brain knows what you give it as an emotion, and that emotion is now processed as memory in your brain, okay? So when you're stressed, you're conjuring up a spirit of stress. When you are relaxed, you're conjuring up a spirit of relaxation. When you are in spirit, right? Now there's different types of spirits. So when you are in the spirit of the divine, you are conjuring up that spirit of inspiration, okay? In spirit, all right? But some people are in spirit or inspired by different things. And these different things are different spiritual entities. And we don't look at it like that, but the spirit is in the breath. So spirit is all around us. Spirit connects all of us because we are all breathing the same air, okay? So we need to get out, especially nowadays with everything that's happening, we need to get out of divisions, you know what I'm saying? Especially racial divisions. Those things are old. Those things are pre-2019, okay? You have the computer now. You have the computer now. So no one that's smart wants to hear about how oppressed you are anymore. That spirit is dead. No one that's smart wants to hear about how you were slaves. That spirit is dead. You have the computer. You have the computer, and the computer is the great leveling playing field, okay? With the computer, you could be anybody who you want to be. You can hide behind a white avatar, a Chinese avatar, a Spanish avatar, a girl avatar, boy avatar. You could be whatever you want to be. There was no one stopping you. There was no real racism on the computer. You could have a YouTube channel. You could create a website. You could create whatever you need via the computer and be totally anonymous. You could make rain videos and make money here on YouTube. Like there's so many options nowadays with the computer that if you want to be, that if you're broke and if you're oppressed and if you're struggling, and if you're talking all this racism and the white man is doing this to you and doing that to you, and the police shootings and all these things that aren't really affecting you personally, but just stressing you out, then you're still stuck in 2019. You're still stuck in some back in the day ideology. Nobody cares anymore. There's people out here winning. There's people out here getting it and conjuring up the spirit of success. So it's really up to you. All right. So let's continue. So again, make Conjure great again. And we need to conjure up new creations, new ideas, new buildings, new institutions. Like we got to get out of, and I'm talking mostly to my melanated beings, we need to get out of the spirit of complaining, the spirit of worry, the spirit of distress, especially after this hurricane hit. The energy is here. You know, the funny thing about what happened recently is that the hurricane hit here in New York last Thursday night. You say Wednesday into Thursday night. And then Biden made his mandate announcement the following Thursday, this Thursday, about, you know, the companies, any company with 100 employees or more, you know, you got to get the hokey pokey. You know, if you're in the military, you got to get the hokey pokey. If you work for the federal government, you got to get the hokey pokey. In California, if you're working in the school system, you got to get the hokey pokey. In New York, if you work in the school system, you got to get the hokey pokey. Okay. I'm starting Monday here in New York City. In order to go to any indoor event, you got to show your card. Okay. You got to have a card to show that you got the hokey pokey. So this happened literally a week after Ida. Okay. So we had our hurricane. We had our hurricane. They had their hurricane. And what I'm positing, what I'm putting into the ecosystem is that the hurricane was meant to awaken the spiritual part of us. It was made to awaken the Osirian part of us. It's meant to awaken that divine feminine energy, that womb energy, right? And I'm going to continue to show you how that is and give you guys proof and continue to give you tips and tricks on how to make it, because we need to be tapped in. We need advanced information, right? And we can't get advanced information from YouTube. We're not really, maybe some, right? On a physical level, but the advanced information to prepare yourself for, the new mandate, the hokey pokey, the hurricanes, the earthquakes, those things strictly come from your ancestors. Those things strictly come from the divine. Those things strictly come from within you. That is your true radar. That is your true sensory overlay. There's a reason that a lot of us that are in the occult community, those of us that are really studying this, those of us that meditate, those of us that have altars, those of us that are into the crystals, those that are doing rituals, those that are making our life's habit a ritual, aren't really worried and stressed out. And there's people here in New York that I talk to, and we ain't stressed out. We ain't worried about nothing. Because magically, our ancestors got us. Our ancestors got us. There's ways around this hokey pokey thing. Believe you me, there's ways around this hokey pokey thing. There's people out here to help you with this hokey pokey thing. There's jobs out here that will help you get around this hokey pokey thing. But are you tapped in to your Ida? Are you tapped in to your divine feminine? Or are you tapped in to what, you know what I'm saying? These YouTubers are telling you about it. You know what I'm saying? To the next doom and gloom, to them telling you about some galactic. Yo, I stumbled across this YouTube video. I was like, yo, this person was talking about galactic wars. And I'm like, bruh, sis, king, queen. And I'm using these things, so I don't want you to know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm like, yo, king, queen, you talking about what's happening in outer space. And this is what's affecting the world here. Let me know, how are you going to deal with what's happening in outer space when you got bills here, when you got a car note here, when you got children here, when you got rent and a mortgage here? But you sending them to outer space to talk about the aliens that's going to come save them. I'm going to tell you this straight up. Ain't no alien coming to save you, bro. Ain't no alien coming to save you, sis. Nibiru will not save you. Ain't no Jesus coming to save you either. If Jesus was coming, he would have been here during slavery. He would have been here when the Romans were enslaving people. He would have been here when they ran through Haiti, and when the Mayans and the Aztecs was using children as sacrifices to their gods. So ain't nobody coming to save you but you. This is what's going to save you. You tapping into this limbic system. You tapping into this eye of Horus. You tapping into your emotional center and being able to manage it and channel the emotions. Your emotions are the key to this whole shit. Black people, melanated people, spiritual people. This is why you are, quote unquote, most people's spiritual people say they're empaths, right? Empaths means that you have empathy for something. Having empathy means you're able to put you're able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. This allows you to have compassion. But being an empath means that you are connecting. What's connecting most of us is breath. What's connecting not most of us, everything is breath. Breath. Spirit means breath. Spirit means wind. That's what's connecting all of us. So this is what's going to save you. tapping into this. All right. That's what's going to make Conjure great again. And amongst other things. So the limbic system controls would-be emotions. Secondly, a part of the limbic system called the hippocampus helps us form and retain memories, which is most very important for learning and development. So part of us doing shadow work, part of us going within and meditating is so that we can heal, so that our hearts can be as light as a feather. Okay, if you still have the stress of the girl who broke your heart in high school, of the boyfriend that you had a bad relationship with, of how much your baby mama hurt you, of how much your baby daddy hurt you, the person who raped, hurt, molested you, things like that. If you're still holding on to this hurt and this pain, your emotions are being blocked. Your chakras are being blocked, and you will have an inherent bias and you will be triggered. Okay? An R. Kelly article comes out and you've been hurt and molested, of course, you're going to be triggered. But the key is, how are you going to channel that emotion? How are you going to tap into this eye of Horus, this eye of Ra, this eye of Heru? When we're talking about Horus, when we're talking about Heru, we're talking about the hero. And the hero's journey is about becoming your best self. The hero's journey is about you tapping into your superpowers. And your superpowers are connected to your emotions, and your emotions are what give you your memory. Not saying that the memories are of what happened to you and what you're going through and what's affecting your hippocampus. Not saying these memories do not exist. Not saying these memories are not real. Not saying these memories don't even give you goosebumps and feelings in your gut when you think about them. But the whole goal is so that they don't give you feelings in your gut that when you think about them, or that the feelings in your gut when you do think about them are channeling the most highest expression of what you desire, not the event itself, but how you choose to visualize the event, how you choose to feel about the event, your emotional resonance to the event. Let me tell you something. I don't give a damn about what happened in Afghanistan. I have no connection. I don't care what happened in Afghanistan. I'm not going to let it stress me out. Rest in peace to the Haitians. But I don't care about what happened in Haiti. I'm not going to let my emotions and my memories stress me out and beat my hippocampus up and damage my eye of Heru, my willpower, my ability to have my inner vision on point to be connected to my ancestors. See, this looks good as a picture. But when you really deep dive into it, there's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of conjuring. There's a lot of energy. And the goal, again, is to make the heart as light as a feather. That's what Ma'at is. Okay, Ma'at is that scale, the scale of justice. And if you're weighed down by all these things that happen in the world, by who got shot, that's why you don't watch the news. Who got shot? Who got killed? Who got hurt? Who got beat over the head? Whose mama got raped? Who's this? Who's that? This happened in this part of the world. This happened in that part of the world. Not to say you don't know what's going on, right? But what is your energetic resonance to it? Are you crying about what happened to people in Afghanistan? Are you crying about what's happened? Now, if you're Haitian, you got Haitian family and all that, that's understandable. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be, got people in New Orleans and all that, people in New York and all that. That's understandable. If you have a connection, it's understandable that you should feel grief. But if it's not directly connected to you, then you take these things in, but you control the emotion and the energy and the feeling behind it. And that's what these things are about. You control the spirit that's behind it. All right. So let's go into, so I just want to explain that and show you also how, before I even get into that, how this is also the masculine energy would be you creating things in the external world, you putting things out. So this would be, if you're looking at the occult, this would be, you know, you doing, well, we'll get into that later, actually. We'll get into that later. We'll get into the left and right hand paths and how these come together. So this is how sound works, okay? And we're going back to Conjure, okay? Remember, Conjuring, to summon by or as if by invocation or incantation, to affect or effect by or as if by magic, okay? So sound. Sound produces waves, okay? So they're called sound waves, okay? So how sound works, okay? So this is part one. So I just want to get to this part. So this is what they call a sine waves. Whenever you think a thought, an idea, these are the waves. If you do an EKG, you put them EKGs, those things on the brain, this is what they're going to read. When you do a lie detector test, okay? And most of you have seen lie detector test on TV, you'll see these waves going up and down, all right? So it says the air around us is filled with molecules. When you play a sound out of a speaker, the speaker vibrates really quickly. That vibration moves through the molecules in the air, like a chain reaction until it reaches your ear and is processed by the brain as sound, okay? And it goes, imagine that each dot in this grid is an air molecule. So this is basically just showing you how your sound affects the air around you. This is also what I always tell you guys, that you have an electromagnetic field and you are an electromagnetic being. I call you guys gods because you are gods. Do you not know that ye are gods? Psalms 82:6, right? But as gods, sometimes that's a simple definition. Because people think they're gods, they think because they have a little bit of melanin in them, that that's what makes them God. But no, that's not what makes you God. Being an electromagnetic being makes you God. And this is the electricity that you put in motion, or your emotions, right? That makes you magnetic. This is the source of your magic. So when you speak verbally in your mind, in your left brain, when you're coming up, or in your left brain, when you're concocting a thought, right? And a sentence about yourself or about your situation or about the world. I remember in 1999. I remember 2019. The biggest catchphrase on the internet was, I hate it here. A lot of people saying that. You see it typed on Facebook, this, I hate it here, I hate it here, I hate it here. Twitter, I hate it here, right? And then 2020 hit. And the Roni came, right? And then people really had a reason to hate it here. There was lockdowns, people were going back into their old alcoholic habits, their old drug habits. People were isolated from their family, their friends. People's family and friends were passing away, right? The universe gave them more reason to hate it here, okay? So you have to be careful, not only what you say out of your mouth, because it is conjuring things, but what you say in your mind, because it is conjuring things. The air molecules are moving. This is your electromagnetic field right here. This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like when this is the field that is around you. If you want to use a visual now, there's more color to it. There's a rainbow colored field, but this field is what brings things to you, whether it be positive or negative. You're in control of your electromagnetism. And this is through your inner vision. This is through your eye, your inner eye, this limbic system, which regulates your emotion and your memory. This is why shadow work is so important. And I'm doing all this to give you a scientific background, because people just tell you, oh, do shadow work because shadow work is going to help you. But what is the reason behind doing shadow work? What is the brain function behind doing shadow work? Why is it necessary to heal your hippocampus? Why is it necessary to switch and change your memories and readjust your memories? Okay? You can have the most tragic situation that happened to you in life, and through meditation, through repetition of a different image, through repetition of a different emotion, right? Through repetition of a different memory, a different emotion, over a 28 to 30-day period. Once you have the new moon, which is what moon cycles are really about. They're about transformation and change, not just manifesting cars and Gucci and, you know, a new apartment, a new house, and, you know, some Versace denim, you know what I'm saying, and a new lover, right? It's really about changing yourself so you could be the best lover, so you could be happy in the Versace and the Gucci, so you could be happy and be able to maintain the new car, the new home, et cetera, because you have management over your emotions and management over your memories. And these are things that take work. Spirituality is work. It is not easy, okay? It is work. It's something that is going to take time. It's something that you're going to have to do. It's something that is going to take ritual. Ritual is nothing but habits. Rituals are nothing but habits that you are doing over time, okay? A fancy word for habits is ritual. That's all it is, all right? But this is where the shadow work comes in. And this is how you're able to conjure different spirits. This is how you're able to conjure anyone who does any type of spiritual work, whether it be, you know, basic spell work and things like that, candle magic, spirit baths. You have to have you have to carry a certain emotion, hex work even, right? If you're hexing somebody, you have to be angry. You have to be furious. You have to put that energy into your work, or that hex will not be successful. If you're doing love work, you want to put some R&B on the background. You want to feel sexy. You know, maybe put on Drake. I'm too sexy. If you're a man, put on Drake. I'm too sexy. You know what I'm saying? You want to feel that way so you could draw in that lover when you're lighting that pink candle and putting your love oil on. You know what I'm saying? When you're going for a job, you know what I'm saying? Put on some Future. You know what I'm saying? Put on some 50, I Get Money. You know what I'm saying? Put on, what's that song by Future? Throw up some comments. You know what I'm saying? You wanna. I recommend always doing money work on or around your payday, so you could be in that energy of abundance. Okay, this is about emotion and memory, so that we can make Conjure great again. We think Conjure is just lighting the candle and chilling and sitting down, but we're not doing the work within ourselves to make ourselves better. We're not tuned into this eye of Herbal, this emotional part of our brain, and we always talk about how melanated people are so emotional. This is why, because we're supposed to be using this to our advantage, especially during these times. We are the vanguard. We are the super soldiers. We are those who know better, can do better, and know how to tap into the spiritual realm, okay? But this is just a prerequisite. So I'm showing you basically a right-brained way of how to tap in and conjure and make your conjure great again, all right? So this is primarily I'm dealing with the right-hand path, but sprinkling a little bit of left-hand elements in it during my conversation. So let's move on. So emotions, the hippocampus. Now the hippocampus it looks like a seahorse in the brain. And the more damage that you do to your hippocampus, the more beat up it looks like. Like it looks like the damaged hippocampus looks like a boxer, like Mike Tyson hit it. And this is when you have all these negative memories, when you have all these negative thoughts, when you have all these negative ideas about yourself, when you have all these negative ideas about the world. Oh, today's going to be terrible. Today's going to be a bad day. But you got to stop saying those things about yourself. We got to stop saying these. Oh, this person's not going to like me. Oh, this person's out of my league. Ain't nobody out your league, sis. Ain't nobody out your league, bro. You're magnetic. Everything is in your league. Everything can be drawn to you. Any and everything can be drawn to you, okay? There's nothing that is outside of your league and outside of your realm of opportunity. It's just how bad and how much emotion can you put towards it? How much energy can you put towards it? And this is physical, the external, and spiritual, the internal. So you have to align with both halves of the brain. Going back to the brain, okay? At all stages of our life, the limbic system and hippocampus also help govern emotional behaviors, okay? So while it is an oversimplification to say that someone's emotions are determined by limbic functions, it is clear that this system plays a huge part in helping us do things like remember past events that were both pleasant and traumatic, perceive threats from our surroundings, make choices based on our experiences, okay? The person that is stressed, the person that has anxiety, the person that is worried about life is going to make different choices in their life versus someone who is peaceful, versus someone who is calm, versus someone who meditates, versus someone who is taking spiritual bath, versus someone who is honoring their ancestors. They're going to make different choices. A person who watches the news all the time, a person who believes everything they read on social media without researching, a person who still hates their baby mama and baby daddy, a person who still hates women, a person who still hates men. They're going to make different decisions and perceive threats from their surroundings different based on their experience. Control movements based on past learning, form sensory preferences, likes, dislikes, and more. So this is what the Commission ancestors were trying to tell you. This is what matters. This is the black life that matters, that dark matter that is within self. This is what matters. Forget what they told you, okay? We got to conjure up some different shit. All right, so we went into this already. So this forms what I always say you guys are electromagnetic. The electromagnetic field is generated from the heart. You know how they told you when the Roni first hit to stay 6 feet away? This is because the human's heart magnetic field can be measured up to several feet away from the body. The heart controls the emotions. This is why the heart, let me just show you. This is why Ma'at is the highest ideal in the Commission spiritual system. And this is why America is built like Kemet, because basically they are hijacking the spirit of your ancestors and using it against you. So let me just pull this up because I'm talking about it. Spirit is showing, oh, this is a good one. Well, fuck this white bitch though. No disrespect to white people, but we ain't rocking with that. All right, so this is a good one. So these are the scales of Ma'at, where your heart is being weighed by a feather and it is balanced. So again, we going back to, and yeah, I'm saying this a lot, it's a Sunday, but I want you guys to really understand what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to tell you, what I'm trying to show you. So again, your heart being weighed by the scale, okay? Your heart, actually, let's go into a little bit of the heart. Oh, I didn't put it up here. Actually, I want to show you this. Oh, there it is. Boom. So, this is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has a very good book called Becoming Supernatural, if you're interested in copying that. But he's also on Instagram and Facebook as well. But very good book, Becoming Supernatural. Highly recommended. So it says, because feelings and emotions are energies that emit powerful magnetic fields, the stronger the elevated feelings, okay, the stronger the elevated feelings, one more time, the stronger the elevated feelings, the stronger the magnetic field. Hey girl, niggas ain't shit. Fuck these niggas. I'm tired of these niggas. Yeah, you know, fuck these niggas. Let's laugh about it. So now you attach emotion to it. Let's laugh about it. So now it's emotional resonance. The world is going to shit, man. Look at everything that's happening, man. All these mandates, these job losses, man. People getting sick, man. The world is, man. People are dying. Oh man, this world is so bad. The stronger the elevated feelings, the stronger the magnetic field. So what are you conjuring up when you're saying these things? When you're visualizing these things? When you're thinking these things? You're bringing these things to you. Men ain't shit. I can't find them. These girls ain't shit. All they are is gold diggers. The stronger the elevated feelings, the stronger the magnetic field. In fact, the heart produces the strongest magnetic field in the body. 5,000 times greater in strength than the field produced by the brain. I'll say it one more time. The heart produces the strongest magnetic field in the body, 5,000 times greater in strength than the field produced by the brain. So if the heart is 5, produces a stronger magnetic field, right? The strongest magnetic field in the brain, 5,000 times greater in strength than the field produced by the brain. So the brain produces a field as well, is what they're saying, right? Which goes back again to that eye of Herbal. That's your emotional center of the brain. But the heart is what generates it. So when you see Ma'at, right, and you see this scale, the heart being weighed, let's look at this, right? It's even better. The heart being weighed by the feather, and this is also illustrated here, right? It says the great balance in the hall of justice, but this one is bigger. But I just want to show you where it comes from. The heart is right there, the feather's right there. I decoded this in another video, so I'm not going to get into that for time's sake. But so if they're talking, so Dr. Joe was talking about the heart, right? He said the heart generates the strongest magnetic field. So you have to understand this is why the scales of Ma'at have a heart weighed by a feather. The feather is your emotions. The feather is what you say. The feather is what you're taking. The feather is your spirit. Because a feather is easily moved by the wind. Feather is moved by the strength of wind. A feather is moved via the air. Birds have feathers. Birds have feathers, okay? Cats don't have feathers. Dogs don't have feathers. Lions don't have feathers. Birds have feathers. Birds fly in the air. Spirit means breath. Spirit means wind. Wind is in what? The air. All right? So, if your heart is producing this magnetic field, and the law of Ma'at is basically balancing the heart by the feather, then it is saying that, my Dr. Joe picture, that you got to control your feelings. You got to control your emotions. You got to control your thoughts. This is how one of the tools of making Conjure great again. And I'm gonna get into some books and stuff and herbs and shit like that. But I just want you to understand this concept. So when you look at Ma'at, if you go to court, you look at a scale, right, held by a woman, you understand where this is coming from, and it should also be a reminder of what you have to do. Because when you look at the symbolism, you don't look at it for what they want it for or what they're using it for. You look at it for how it could benefit you. Just like I looked at Hurricane Ida and how it could benefit me and how I could basically relay this to y'all to give you an understanding. And also the fact that water is 75% of the body. And most of that water that we is in our body, we don't see, right? We don't see the water that's in our body. So when have you seen the water in your body unless you were crying or sweating? That's only 2 times, right? Other than that, you don't, or having sex, right? Other than that, you don't, well, it's a different type of waters, but you guys get what I'm saying. So, yeah, this is, and also, this is just another fun fact, there are more connections from the heart to the brain than the brain to the heart. There's more connections from the heart to the brain than the brain to the heart. So this is why emotions are very important, and how you feel about people, how you feel about places, how you feel about things, how you feel about events are more important. So when I say with all these mandates and all these things that are happening, how you think about them is what's going to bring things to you. If you think, oh, I have no other skill, like one of my friends told me, it was like, yo, I got to do it. For a year and a half, I ain't doing it. I don't care what they say. I ain't going to do it. 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 In the medical field, job mandated it. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't got no other skills. Spirit would have prepared you. Spirit would have aligned you. Depending on your focus, depending on how you feel. You would have found a way. There would have been a way. There would have been a way out. That's out there. Unfortunately, I'm on YouTube. I can't tell you guys anything, but there's ways out of it. I'm gonna give you some tools, but there's other tools and there's ways out of this. It might be switching your job. It might be switching your career. It might be working from home. No jobs, to me personally. This is me. This is my magnetic field. This is my elevated feeling. Personally, ain't no job worth it. In the great words of the poet Cameron, if you can't get money in this earth, in an earth this big, you worthless kid. Don't even deserve to live. Okay, as long as I got Wi-Fi and internet, I'm gonna find a way. I'm gonna find a way. If that don't work, I'm gonna find a way in the streets. But I'm gonna find a way. Now, I'm not telling people what to do. People have family, people have different obligations, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not telling you what I did or what I didn't do, okay? What I am here to tell you is there are solutions out here. If your magnetic field is saying, look, this is what I'm gonna do. This is how I'm gonna get around it. And you can't just say, oh, I'm not gonna do this and have no plan and have no ideas. Your magnetic field is gonna bring you. Your feather is going to vibrate with different ideas. Your feather is going to vibrate with different plans. Your feather is going to vibrate in your brain with elevated thoughts, with elevated feelings, with elevated emotions that cause your heartbeat to beat different, that cause your breath to invoke, to conjure. This is how deep this is. Spirit means breath. So for you to breathe in, remember, well, we're doing spirit work, right? When we talk about channeling, we're talking about invoking deities. I always say that, right? If you're working with Papa Legbo, Shun, Ogun, whatever, right? You're invoking these deities. These deities are not outside yourself. The reason that they have colors, their rishas and the deities all have colors is because these colors represent different frequencies on the magnetic field. And if you're able to conjure them, if you're able to invoke, right? I don't know, some of you've been to rituals, but if you go to a ritual or your Reuben ritual, or if you go to a ritual where they are invoking deities, you'll see the spirit actually possess that person and they'll start to speak, sometimes a different language. In church, they call it speaking in tongues, but sometimes they speak out with different messages. They speak out and give you different perspectives and ideas and counsel, right? From the energy of that deity that they have invoked, but that deity was already part of them. All they did was align their spirit and breathe in and invoke that energy. Ha! You know what I'm saying? That's all they did. That's all they did. So it's deeper. It's deeper than rap. You know what I'm saying? Their spirit and breathe in and invoke that energy. Ha! It's funny when you hear this. So, all right. Well, I can't do it. All right. So, hopefully this is understood. Now, let's move on. Okay. So y'all understand? Okay, thank you, Philip. Philip said, okay, all right. So, again, type in your meditations. And those of you who can't meditate, who don't know how to meditate or anything like that, because now, honestly, I mean, it's the final hour. You know what I'm saying? I used to be kind of nice with it and be like, oh, you don't really have to, meditate, and you want to learn how to meditate. We're at the hour where that's not even an option anymore. If you haven't started meditating, if you don't know how to meditate, start with guided meditations. There's guided meditations all over YouTube. RZA from Wu-Tang Clan, they have guided meditations you can tap into, but there's thousands, if not millions of guided meditations. Go on YouTube, type in guided meditations, find a person that you like, get you a chair, get you some silence. If you got a busy household, you got a bathroom, okay? If you are watching this, there's some sort of device that you have where you could plug in some headphones or go in the bathroom or go outside or whatever, where you could have 15 to 20 minutes to meditate. And the first time you meditate, don't go hard. Start with 5 minutes. Start with a goal of 5 minutes, okay? I'm at the point where I'm at like 30 minutes at least where I meditate. I have a meditation time of at least 30 minutes and more, you know what I'm saying? But I didn't start off like that. And even when I stopped, you know what I'm saying? Because I was in a relationship that was kind of toxic, so I wasn't meditating the way I normally do. And I had to regain that and regain. And this is why it's very important who you choose on this walk. It's very important the people that you surround yourself with on this walk. Just because somebody looks good, they're funny, they act right. You know what I'm saying? Well, I can't say they act right, but they look good, they're funny. You know what I'm saying? They have different characteristics. Doesn't mean that that's the right person for you. You have to find a person that matches you spiritually and that you're equally yoked with. And that's really the most important thing. And that's what I learned. So make sure you're finding people that are equally yoked with you, especially now when we need to build and create things. Yes, Straight Panther. Wu-Tang got guided meditations. Yeah, go in. Actually, let me pull it up for you because I'm sure people are interested in that. Yeah, RZA got guided meditations on YouTube. I forgot what he called them. Yeah, see, but forgot what he called them. But yeah, see, guided explorations. Yeah. This may not work for some people, some people, but look, you got a whole 30 minutes to get you started. You got a whole 30 minutes to get you started, okay? And I think this is actually, I've heard this one time, but I don't really remember because this was like maybe earlier in the year when he dropped this. But I think he has different ones that are like 5 minutes and 7 minutes and things like that. But yeah, these are all guided meditations. So start off with guided meditations. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to meditate on your own. Start off with guided meditations. After you get good with the guided meditations, then you could strictly start working with frequencies. Okay, again, this is about conjuring the best part of yourself. This is about conjuring solutions during this time period. This is about conjuring ideas and creations during this time period. This is about making Conjure great again. But this is just one half of the Conjure equation. I'm going to show you the other half shortly. All right? So let's go into... Yeah, let's talk about that. So hurricanes, right? Where do hurricanes come from? So I showed you how when you speak, when you have an idea, when you have a thought, how it vibrates in the air. The molecules in the air move. Whenever you emit a sound, mentally or verbally, there is molecules in the air vibrate. You create an electromagnetic field. All right? So this is where the heart comes in, the electromagnetic field of the human body, okay? And I showed you how the heart is, why the heart is measured by the feather of Ma'at, and why Ma'at was the highest ideal in the Canadian mystery school system. And I'm just kind of doing a recap because some of these things I don't remember. All right. So in your body, you have atoms, and this is actually what they said is the new atomic model. What's going on? Okay. Actually, don't want to talk this. No, I'm going to skip this. I'm going to save this for something else. So let's go into, so hurricanes come from West Africa, pretty much, right? Hurricanes come from West Africa. They form in the Atlantic. And once these hurricanes form in the Atlantic, then they start to hit the Caribbean, and then they hit whatever coast they're going to hit, usually Florida, right, and go up the East Coast. But usually the Caribbean and South America sometimes gets them, but they're generally formed on the West Coast of Africa, right? Now, the reason I have the Congo here is because when these winds and these waters are coming from Africa, one of the things about water is has no color, right? Water ain't no color to water. Water ain't really blue. Blue water is reflecting. When you see blue waters, it's just a reflection of the sky, but there's no blue water necessarily. Water is clear. It has no color. Water is colorless and water is formless. So whenever you see, and I've said this probably every video, when you see water very live, when you see water in a movie, you're looking at the subconscious mind. They're trying to tap into your subconscious mind. They're trying to tap into the emotional part of you, because water represents the subconscious and water also represents the emotions. But water is also feminine. And when you're talking about water, you're also talking about these particular deities. So a hurricane is wind, which we just confirmed, wind is spirit. Hurricane is water. And when we're talking about water, right, we're talking about the spirit, because again, we're the spirit that is feminine. We're talking about Mami Wata. Mami Wata is a deity, an African deity, okay? Name is Mami Wata, it's feminine, can't make this up. Snake is a representative of that, the snake is a representative of that waveform, okay? That's the wave. And you see she has a snake, okay? You have Yamaya down here, okay? Yamaya, Yoruba deity. These are all the same thing. Well, maybe not Oshun, but I'll get to Oshun in a minute. And you have Osset, who you call Isis. And here it says Osset is the embodiment of those intuitive and instinctive faculties that lay deep within our psyche. The intuition, and instinctive faculties, okay? So that is our nervous system, basically. Our parasympathetic nervous system that regulates our heartbeat, our breath, et cetera, that lay deep within our psyche. So the intuitive, instinctive factors that lay deep within our psyche, governing our ability to care for and nurture others. People in whom this faculty is strongly developed are very protective, caring, and nurturing. These qualities amongst the Cometians and other African were most desirable in mothers and wives. So Osset is what the Greeks call Isis. So this is telling you that this is about intuitive energy, which is motherly, which is protective, which is caring, which is nurturing. Now you may say, how the hell is a hurricane protective? How is a hurricane nurturing? I am telling you from my own experience that when this hurricane hit, the vibration, the frequency, and the energy was here in New York City was at an all-time high. The next day, even after all the debris, my meditation hit that morning. My meditation hit like a motherfucker. My meditation, like I even in my meditation, and I don't even think about, I can't say I think about this brother like this, but Marcus Garvey, the image of Marcus Garvey came in my meditation. I was like, why the hell is Marcus Garvey in my meditation, right? So I looked up Marcus Garvey and did a little research, and Marcus Garvey said, catch me in the whirlwind. Marcus Garvey said, catch me in the whirlwind. And what is a whirlwind if not a hurricane? And I'm thinking about how it hit all these centers of magic, all these centers of occultism, strategically, and how it was named Ida. And how the Ida is for the feminine right part of the brain. I'm like, oh, okay. Spirit is telling me, because that was for me, because I'm a man. So it was telling me, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I ain't gonna go into the Marcus Garvey thing and Spirit is telling me not to, because that was personal to me. So I'll get that was for my own. So I'll keep that to myself. But basically, for us to tap into our ancestral lineage and our ancestral heritage, and to be leaning and to relying on that, and to be conjuring up these spirits so that we could protect ourselves for this week coming up, for this week that happened with the whole Biden mandates, with the whole Biden actions, so we could tap into these spiritual forces. But a lot of us, because we're not up on symbolism and really tapping into these, Rudy L said, please repeat the name of the book you recommended. The only book I'm going to recommend more, but the book I recommended before that was Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Let me do this. Let me put it in the chat. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. We'll put this in the chat. And this is going to be a long video, but I don't care. I ain't talked to y'all in a week. So I'm happy and I'm grateful to be able to talk to y'all and to go live with y'all. I'm very happy and grateful. But, just got to be careful now because, censorship is here. I got to go back to learning this Patreon thing again, because there's things I want to talk about, there's things I want to decode, and you can't really do it here anymore. But so look for that coming soon. But anyway, so that is the book. Travis Maggis was talking about vibrations and sign. Okay, so we on the same page then. That's what's up. That's what's supposed to happen. That's what's supposed to happen. Alignment. And I hope somebody else talks about it tonight. That's what's supposed to happen. I'm glad to hear about that. I didn't know that, but that's what's up. So going back to, where was I? Okay, so the waters, right? So these are water deities. These are deities. Now, Oshun works hand in hand with Set, because Oshun, who is represented here in her beautiful, beautiful gold, right? Gold, she uses gold and green, so you see the vegetation here. But the reason that she is part of the waveform, where she is put in this, is because she works, again, hand in hand with Set, or hand in hand with Isis, or hand in hand with the water goddess, because once your waters are stirred, right? Once your internal waters are stirred, your gut energy, right, is stirred, you are producing an emotion that is visible to the world. Oshun is about beauty. Oshun is about fertility. Oshun is about joy, but Oshun also has vanity, right? Oshun also deals with the mirror, right? Looking at herself in the mirror. So there's a bit of a vainness in Oshun. There's a bit of vanity about Oshun. There's a bit of luxury about Oshun. So once your waters are stirred, right, now who and what you say you are, who and what you think you are, now comes to the forefront. And ultimately, these waters will stir either joy or unhappiness, right? But the goal is for them to stir joy, which is what Set represents ultimately. If you have any good memories, there's joy attached to them. If you can remember yourself running as a kid, running and playing with other children, there's joy attached to that memory. You know what I'm saying? If you ever won something, right? Let's say you hit a scratch off, or I don't know, you won a computer at work or whatever. You know what I'm saying? There's joy attached to that memory. You know what I'm saying? You slept with somebody that you always wanted to sleep with. There's joy associated with that memory. So the waters are supposed to bring joy. When you're doing your meditations and you're doing your visualizations and you're doing your candle work and you're doing all this other stuff, really, you're supposed to have a joyful spirit. You're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to engage in your visualizations and your animations with joy. That's what Oshun is really all about. And that's why she holds the mirror, because it is a reflection of your joy that makes you feel great. And it's not just a reflection of, you know, how you physically look, even though it has a representation of your inner joy, right? Because they say if you look good, you feel good. That's there's truth to that. But as well, you don't need to necessarily look good on the outside to feel good. You could look good on the inside and feel good. There's many times I've walked around here and done videos with no haircut, looking kind of crazy, right? With not, you know, maybe my outfit wasn't, I don't know. I can't say that. I pretty much go outside looking good. But maybe I wasn't at 100%, like I wasn't dressed like I was going to the club or to a high-end event or to the opera or anything like that. But I still felt good, because how you look at yourself, Oshun holding the mirror, is going to determine how you feel about yourself, right? And your emotions, again, is what helps you conjure up whatever type of spirit you're trying to manifest. And again, water is colorless, it's odorless, so it represents the subconscious and the feminine. So we want to stir these waters up. We want to use these emotions wisely. We want to use these waveforms wisely, because again, they vibrate the molecules in the air. So when we go, let's go back to the Congo. Going too fast. So going back to the Congo, if all hurricanes and stuff come from the Congo, then the energy that's in the air, the energy that is traveling across North America right now, right? Because we know, even though the hurricanes have stopped, there were 7 tornadoes in the East Coast area, unprecedented 7 tornadoes in the Eastern Hemisphere of America. And that air is not dead. You know what I'm saying? Air doesn't die. It just moves across. It just continues moving westward. Sun rises in the east, so it carries energy and then moves to the west. And we also know that there were floods all over Europe, China, before it even hit America. So all this flooding, all these hurricanes, right? We got to look at these things not as just events from heart, not as just events from, you know, the white satin, right? Because people love blaming Hawk for some shit, right? People love saying it's the aliens. People love saying it's the government. But what about nature? Because water has spirit. Water has its own spirit. Wind has its own spirit. Okay? Well, I think it was Stray Panther mentioned Shu. Shu is a deity of the wind. Okay? We're gonna pull out receipts though. We're gonna pull out receipts or sources. Okay? Shu is the god of light and air, and such personified the wind and atmosphere in the earth's atmosphere. Okay? These are all natural elements had deities associated to them, not because they were worshiping the actual deity. They weren't worshiping this figurine here of Shu. They were actually tapped into the spirit of the element, okay? The same way these deities are representing the spirit of an element. So when we're conjuring spirits, spirits already exist in all the elements. All right? So I'm showing you the Congo to show you that your computer, your Kem Ptah, Ptah being the potter, Kem being representing black, Kem for Kemet, Ptah for the, if you look at, what am I talking? I'm talking about, damn, what's the name of it? Memphite theology, okay? Actually, let's show and prove. Because we're not just going to talk. Not on my channel. We're not just going to talk, especially when I do it live. So the Memphite theology said that Ptah created the world in a simpler way. So Ptah was considered the creator god. And I'm always going to use Kemet because Kemet is the dopest spiritual system out there. Like, I'm not like, it's the dopest, yo, for real. It's the best and the easiest to understand. And maybe it's because it's me, and maybe because that's where my ancestral lineage. But I'm gonna tell y'all something. Some of y'all that are into voodoo and into the Orishas don't need to be. I'm not saying you need to be into the Kemetic deities either. Some of y'all need to be working with Native American deities. What's a Quetzalcoatl and all that? Some of y'all are attached to the deities of the Loa, right? Some of y'all attached to some of y'all supposed to be following Wicca. Some of y'all supposed to be back at church because you're better at following. You know what I'm saying? You're not ready to do independent study and research. You're not ready to do, you're not ready to form covens and work with people. You're not emotionally intelligent enough to deal with the world on your own. So some of y'all are supposed to be back in church. Some of y'all are supposed to be working with leukemia. Some of y'all are supposed to be working with voodoo. Some of y'all are supposed to be working with Kemet. Some of y'all are supposed to be working again with Native American gods, and thunder gods, and different things like that. Whatever resonates with you, that's when you're tapped into your heart, for real, for real. Whatever resonates, whatever makes your heart connect. For me, it's Kemet. That's what helps me connect with the spirit world the best. Those are the deities that I work with that reflect light and give me my quote unquote luck, right? But you got to really know and this takes study, this takes research, and you can't get all this from YouTube. You got to be in those books, all right? But so the computer, the Kem Ptah, okay? Kem Ptah, computer, Kem Ptah, all right? And your ancestors made the internet. We're going to get into that too. So the Congo is where these things come from, okay? The Congo is where the parts for your computers come from. King Leopold destroyed and killed millions upon millions of Africans in the Congo when he was there. Then once he left, shortly afterwards, the computer was created, okay? So the computer is something that is conjured from your ancestors' bones, literally, okay? Let's look at who created the internet. A Black man named Philip Emeagwali created the internet. He created the internet based on the technology he got from your ancestors' bones. There are two elements, cobalt and coltan, which comes from the Congo specifically. Let's show and prove real quick. Coltan is a dull metallic ore found in major quantities in the eastern area of the Congo, okay? And there's another metal called cobalt. Look, coltan, friends of the Congo, okay? So coltan is, it says the mineral, let's look at this real quick. The mineral coltan is one of the, wait, where is it? 5 facts you should know. So you may not have heard of coltan before. It's one of the raw materials found in the technological products you use every day. From smartphones to laptops to advanced medical equipment, a range of electronic devices have coltan as a fundamental building block. Okay? So literally, this is your ancestors' bones where the computer comes from. Where's your ancestors' bones where these elements come from? Coltan and cobalt. So should I pull up cobalt? I ain't gonna go deep to tell you, but you guys should know right now. Cobalt comes from the Congo too, all right? Then it's another part of your computer, and this is what it looks like, okay? And that's the Chevy cobalt. We don't want that. We're talking about the cobalt element, all right? And both of these things come from the Congo. Both of these elements come from the Congo. This is what caused this black man came up with the idea to create the internet. Philip Emeagwali. Meet the father of the internet. Of course, you never heard of him because he is from Africa. And the mainstream media wouldn't want you to brand the creator of the internet title to an African-American man. Okay? The cell phone turned 40 years old today. Meet the black man, Henry T. Sampson, who created it. Most people don't know this. That black man created the cell phone, the digital phone, and the internet, okay? Using these elements that came from the Congo. This is Conjure at a high level. The internet was created for you, melanated man and woman. It was made to level the playing field. No one out here in America today should be saying, I have to take a jab. Damn, I wasn't supposed to take a jab. I have to take the hokey pokey in order to make money. No one. I repeat, no one. Now, if you feel like you're backed in the corner because you didn't plan, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't go into the spirit world, that's up to you. Because you didn't gather the ideas that you needed and the creativity that you needed, the same way this creativity caused this man to create the internet, caused this man to create the first digital cell phone. What's his name? Jesse Eugene Russell, the first digital cell phone. He's an electrical engineer and business executive. He was born in 1948. Do you think he was worried about so-called, what y'all call, and I hate to say this, white supremacy and white privilege? Or was he about his conjure? Because we all got cell phones here. This was in the 40s. This was still during segregation. The Civil Rights Bill wasn't passed till 64. He created this. He was born in 48. What type of knowledge was his parents conjuring in him? What type of spirit did his parents have? 1972, he received the BS. He received his BS degree in electrical engineering from Tennessee State University. Top honor student. This guy he studied. He studied. He wasn't watching TV. This is where your cell phone comes from. I want to show you something. Now, I remember this because my father, I'm old enough to remember, my father had a car phone. Prior to Russell's invention, a mobile device was only possible to be used in a vehicle or in a car. Some of y'all are too young to even know that. But cell phones, you had to have a car phone. And if you had a car phone, you was the shit. If you had a car phone, you was the shit. That was the shit back then, you having a car phone. But he made it so that his invention made it possible for the spread of handset devices and for its affordability. They're not going to tell you about this. They're not going to tell you about this, brother. He should be one of the ancestors that should be invoked. He should be on somebody's altar. Facts. He should be on, he should be on somebody's altar. Let's see what they say about this, brother. Okay. Now they're saying, so what part of cell phone? So he said Henry T. Sampson invented the gamma electric cell, okay? Produces stable high voltage output and current to detect radiation in the ground. All right, so let's see, I'm just scanning. I never read this, so I'm with y'all. Okay, so basically it says that, so the limitations, so he fixed the problem. These limitations offer men a wait of up to 30 minutes for a dial tone and a 5 to 10 year waiting list just to acquire the service. With the invention of cell phone service in 1983, personal communications no longer depended on wires. In 1990s, it was possible to connect the internet from virtually everywhere. So he was a engineer. So basically, I'm assuming he invented the gamma electric cell, which is a part of, yes, high voltage output and current, okay, to detect radiation in the ground. So I guess what part of it he created was, let me see, I guess the part that he created was another part of the cell phone, right? But again, this is just another Black man lost in history that used these parts from the Congo, that created a new reality, that conjured up some shit that's tangible, that we use today. The internet that we use today. So what are we conjuring? This is 2021. Don't we need new inventions? Black woman, help develop GPS technology. We need new creations. We don't need to be emotionally involved in what Cardi B and Lizzo was doing. We don't need to be emotionally involved if we're gonna have dinner with Jay-Z or $500,000 that we're never gonna have. We don't need to be emotionally involved in things that are not gonna move us forward as a collective. And by us, I don't mean the world. I don't mean every Black or melanated person. By us, I mean humanity as a whole, because again, those of us that are tapped into the occult are the vanguard. We are the superheroes, not the people that are conscious, not the people that are woke. Those of us that are tapped into the spirit world and are emotionally connected to the spirit world and are dedicated to our emotional connection to the spirit world, we got to conjure up, and we got to conjure up children that are going to create these things. And we got to conjure up these things ourselves as well. So making Conjure great again is about using the energy of Ida. And if you really want to tap even more into this Ida energy, right? Let's look at it. Let's look at some of the things that happened the last couple of weeks. Let's look at some of the things that happened the last couple of weeks. Kanye West dropped the Donda album, right? What was Donda? Donda was an ode to his mother, his dead mother. May she rest in power. But it's an ode to a female ancestor. And the cover was all black. I don't have to pull that up. Y'all know what the Donda, y'all should know what the Donda album cover was all black, right? Those of y'all that mess with music. Also, what happened in the week after? Drake dropped Certified Lover Boy. On the cover was pregnant women. Feminine energy again. So Donda, feminine energy. Certified Lover Boy, feminine energy. Hurricane Ida, feminine energy. Lil Nas X, his triggering ass. Showed up pregnant. Okay. Showed up pregnant, right? He is trying to hijack the feminine energy because the quote unquote powers that be, the secret societies, the Boule, the York Rite, Scottish Rite, they know what's up. They can see the signs and symbols because that's what they deal with. So they use Lil Nas X to hijack the black body because they understand, or hijack the melanated body and the children because they understand that they need to manage and direct this energy, this feminine energy, this internal energy, this spiritual energy, this womb energy, this dark matter energy, this pranic energy to work for them and for their manifestations and for their conjure. So we got to make Conjure great again. I'm just showing you this. It's even, let's go, those of you, and hope no spoiler alerts. If you saw Shang-Chi, Shang means king. Shang is a Chinese word that means king. Qi is energy that flows from the Shushuma or the spinal cord. That is your Qi, your Qi. Me moving around, I'm moving my Qi. You working out, you moving your Qi. You having sex, you're moving your Qi. You doing Qi Gong, you're moving your Qi. Martial arts, you're moving your Qi, et cetera, et cetera. So Qi is the energetic part of your body. It's literally your nervous system firing off of energy, right? But in Shang-Chi, they had a water monster, a water dragon, okay? They had a water dragon that came out. And I ain't gonna tell you more because I'll tell you more of the plot. I'll be telling the plot of the story for those of you who didn't watch it. But it's one of one of the things that helped him in the movie was this water dragon and him basically being able to work with, I'll just say work with the elements for lack, because I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't seen it. But I'm just showing you all the water all the water archetypes and I'm trying to say significant. Anyway, archetypes, all the water symbolism that's out there, that was there and that was present. Okay. So this is, again, representing that subconscious mind, water, that subconscious mind, that inner self, that higher self, that visual self. All right. And how we need to bring that energy online. And we need to tap into that energy, because if the world outside is crumbling, the one thing, shout out to the great Bob Marley, none but ourselves can free our mind. They could lock down the body can be destroyed, the body can be manipulated, but the mind can't. And even, I tell y'all this, if you got the hokey pokey, don't think the world is ended. The universe is mental. Universe is mental. So if you're really on your spiritual game, if you're really on your invoking your deity game, if you're really on you doing this work, then guess what? You'll burn that shit out of your body. It won't be able to turn on in you, no matter what they try. Because ultimately you are God and you are electromagnetic. And no matter what they tried it with AIDS, they tried it with crack, they tried it with heroin, they tried it with this, they tried it with that, they tried it with the food, and you still can't stop us. You still can't stop us from growing. We still keep creating. We still keep conjuring up new dances. We still keep conjuring up new music. We still keep conjuring up new trends. We still keep conjuring up new inventions. Hidden Figures showed you that they couldn't even, quote unquote, go out of space without a Black woman programming the space shuttles and the space the space shuttle and any rockets they was using. I just showed you the melanated men who helped create the cell phone, Black woman who created GPS, and how many more people like that behind the scenes. There's even things that I read that said that Thomas Edison stole his idea for electricity based on something that one of his slaves did, an experiment his slave did. George Washington Carver with peanuts. Come on, there's many, many examples in our history of creativity. The universe is mental, ultimately. So don't let nobody tell you different. So I'm just showing you all these things that are significant. So I just want to show y'all some tools. One of the tools, and hopefully this all made sense. Yeah, Philip. Yeah, Philip said they got Westbrook too. Yeah, they got Westbrook too. I was like, let's look at it. Also, and this is again how they trying to hijack. A lot of women's like, this is because they usher in the divine feminine. Yeah, the powers that be, the secret societies, which I call let's just use the Illuminati for lack of a better word, because y'all love the name Illuminati, the Freemasons, right? They know what's up. They understand the frequency. They know they see what I see. There's high priests in the Freemasons. They understand what's going on. So of course, the energy is going to lead towards that way. But let me show you some of these things, because some of y'all may not know. Then I'll get into some books and I'll get out of here. But I'm going to show y'all some of these things Philip's talking about. Let's go to, I'm going to show you something you might not know, Philip. So this is Kid Cudi wearing a dress, but there's something, he came out, he had a dress on yesterday. I don't know why they don't have it here, but he actually had a dress on just yesterday. I'm trying to find it. But yeah, he had on a black dress with a Nirvana t-shirt yesterday in the picture that I saw. He was with someone. It's not, I don't have it here for whatever reason. I can't pull it up. Maybe because of what I'm using. Oh, here we go. Bam. They got them both. And this is New York Fashion Week, all right? I wonder what the theme of Fashion Week is this year. Look at this. Look at what TMC, look, this is the wave. This is what they're trying to, all right? This is how they're using the water. Okay, this is how they're using the energy of flow, the energy of emotion. Okay? And if you're mad at this, you just don't understand what's going on. This is not anything to be upset about. This is not anything to be emotionally attached to. Because you have to remember, if you're upset about something like this that happens in the media, if you are angry or if you're disturbed, they got you. Okay, they got you. They're supposed to look at this and be like, okay, like maybe now. Let me not say this. Maybe you're going to be a little disturbed because it's changing. It's different. So it's going to trigger you a little bit. It's going to trigger most straight men, right, to see what's happening. But those of us who want to know, you understand, and this is why knowledge and the working with knowledge, not just having knowledge, but working with knowledge to give you wisdom. This is why reading is so important, way more important than watching YouTube. This is why reading is more important, way more important than watching lectures. That's why reading is so important, and studying is because not only does it engage the left brain, which you read in the words, but it forces you to use your imagination. When you're reading a book, your imagination is forced, because you're just reading letters, but your imagination is forced to create images based on those letters. If you're reading a book about self-help, you're forced to create an image about how you would look doing self-help. If you're reading a book about Conjure and magic, it's going to force you to how you would look doing this particular ritual, how you would look invoking this particular deity, how you would look. This is why reading is so important. Audiobooks are great too. You know what I'm saying? But again, if you able, but yeah, audiobooks are good too. But reading is really one of the most powerful tools. And if you look at Tahuti, I'm gonna put thought because there's just more images. Thought is Tahuti, Tahuti is thought. But you will see 9 times out of 10, he's always writing something. He always got a book and he's writing, taking notes. And if you look at the bill of Tahuti, right? Another picture, but if you look at the bill of Tahuti, and this is what he looks like actually when they're dealing with him in the, what's they call it, the dua, where they are weighing the heart and the scale on the day of judgment. But if you look at this bill also, and the way this curve is, right, it's going to look like a sine wave. If I can, well, I can't stop it, but it's going to look like, yeah, like this sine wave. Okay, so reading is very important. But again, audiobooks are good too. I'm not saying don't listen to audiobooks, but if you're going to listen to audiobooks, make sure you take some notes. Make sure you're taking some notes. And if you are reading this book, make sure you highlight certain passages that resonate with you as well. All right, study is a serious thing. And a lot of people are only studying on YouTube nowadays. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to get you to where you want to be. That's not going to help you learn everything that you need to learn. Now, if you're taking notes, that's a different story. You're going to go back and read them and deduct them and things like that. That's cool. But YouTube is not enough. Sorry. Hate to break it to you. All right. So, and you got to live this stuff too. So, yeah. So when I saw these things, I was like, oh shit. I was kind of shocked with Russ. I ain't going to lie. You know what I'm saying? This is Russell Westbrook. I was kind of shocked. I was like, I know Russ does some eccentric things, but he's wearing a whole dress. You know what I'm saying? He's wearing a whole dress. You know what I'm saying? He's wearing a whole dress. But again, it's just the after Ida effect. You know what I'm saying? It's the after Ida effect. And this is also telling you, you could get mad, but you can see it as, damn, let me get into my meditation. Damn, let me clean my altar. Damn, let me put some water out in new glasses for my ancestor. Or you can get mad. This is Kid Cudi. This is what I was telling you about, Philip. Okay? This is just Fashion Week. Okay, you got a whole dress on. Is it disturbing? Yeah. But all you got to do, look, if you got children, talk to your children. Let them know what's up. You know what I'm saying? Let them know that basically these people are dressing the way they want to dress, right? There's nothing wrong with dressing the way you want to dress. But let them know that there is a difference between masculine and feminine energy. Let them understand their brain. And there's a left brain that is external and a right brain that is internal. That there's two hemispheres of the brain, that there is masculine energy that is external, that is more aggressive, that is outwardly going, and then it's feminine energy that is internal, that is womb-like, and that is dealing with visualization and imagination. And let them understand the signs of the times, what's going on, so that they're not confused. And does it make you a man to wear pants and not a dress? No. But we understand that the way you look conveys a certain energy as well. It conveys a certain frequency. So men don't go to war with dresses on. This is not the type of guy that women want to, you don't want this guy, if you're being harassed on the train or somebody's running up on your car, this is not going to be the guy that you're necessarily going to want to come save you, a guy in a dress. This is why China is like, we ain't messing with you sissy boys. This is why China is changing everything. This is where China is conjuring. All right? China's like, nah, we not having it. China's banning that. China is banning that. This is what they're conjuring. They're conjuring a different reality. They're not saying you can't be gay. They're not saying you can't sleep with who you want to. They're saying you're not going to be on TV. Because they understand, this ain't really good. They understand how detrimental this is to masculine energy. See, they understand that the feminine energy is being ushered in. They understand that we're in the age of Aquarius, which is an air sign. So they understand that we're in the age of Aquarius, which is an air sign. So spirit means breath, also wind. So they understand that people's spirits are being enhanced. People are getting more in tune with spirit. People are getting more in tune with their ancestors. In fact, everything that they're doing, right, worldwide with this whole Roni thing is making people wake up faster than ever. There's more and more people that are seeking this type of information. There's more and more people that are thinking outside of the box. There's more and more people that are thinking of different alternatives than the jobs that they had because of these Roni mandates, because of these hokey pokey mandates. So it's forcing people to become more creative. Hallelujah. It's forcing people to come together. Hallelujah. It's forcing people to form collectives and startups. Hallelujah. Because Trump wasn't enough. Obviously. Because niggas still want to wear Gucci and Versace and show off Tiffany diamonds and still getting BBLs and titty implants, still worried about vanity in this external world when we should be focusing on the internal world and the spiritual world and creating a new reality for these children that are coming, for these children that are here, for these children that are going to be much more in tune with spirit, these indigo children, indiglo children that already got the light, that's already vibrating hard. They're coming into a 5G world. The towers have changed. The vibration has changed. The frequency has changed. And as I broke this down, that's really what's getting everybody sick, but I ain't gonna go into that here. But you see that the hokey pokey ain't gonna save you. People's reality is being crushed. You don't need these niggas. You don't need niggas dressed like this when Babylon is falling. When Babylon is falling, I don't need these niggas. We need warriors. And this is not to say that these guys would not be warriors, but chances are, right? Ask any man in this chat if they want to hang around and fight with these niggas. I guarantee you they all gonna say no. Because of the energy that they are presenting to the world. There are genders. There are genders energetically. There's masculine and feminine energy. There's masculine and feminine part of your brain. There's masculine and feminine parts of your body. So China's playing, they're conjuring up new type of men. They're conjuring up men that are ready for war, that are ready for the new reality, that are ready for standing up for something, Men that are not going to videotape when they see a girl fighting on the train. Men that are not going to just pull out their camera when they see a woman being harassed. Men who are going to stand up for something and not fall for anything and not be coons. I ain't seen none of these two dudes that's dressed up this way talking about the hokey pokey or talking about solutions. Millions of people are dying. Millions of people are losing their job. Millions of people are becoming homeless. Millions of people have lost their unemployment. And they're talking about Fashion Week. And who do they use to bring it in? To usher in the dress wearing? The black man, the melanated man. Disgusting. Disgusting. So, disgusting. So, and I don't care how you feel, because you could debate me. I would challenge you on the difference between masculine and feminine energy, and that there are genders and gender roles based on the brain. I'm more than willing to debate anyone. Ain't no such thing as cisgender. Some of you got balls, some of you got ovaries. That's a fact. Now, if you got more estrogen than testosterone, you may act a little more feminine. If you have more, and vice versa, right? You might act a little more masculine. But that doesn't take away who you are. I can't just put on a suit and walk down Wall Street one day and say I'm a millionaire based on the fact that I feel like I'm a millionaire and I feel like I was born a millionaire. Don't you feel like you was born a millionaire? Don't you? So I should just be, if that's the case, I should just be able to say, I feel like I'm a millionaire. And again, this is why people that are into the occult and people that are into esoteric thinking and thought, this is why we're the vanguard. And this is why we need to be conjuring up new spirits, new energy, conjuring up deities, conjuring up ancestors, having pictures of ancestors on an altar, having pictures of warriors on our altars. Not just to protect us, because they will protect us, but to protect those that think like us, to protect those that are on the same vibration, and not just those either, to help protect the world. Because ultimately, again, we're the vanguard. How the gods taught me that we're the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, father of civilization, the god of the universe. And they always taught me that there will always be an 85%. And the 85% are poison animal eaters who are hard, who are easily led in the wrong direction, or hard to be led in the right. Slaves for mental depth and power. Who know the truth but refuse to follow the truth. So there's always going to be an 85%. But our job is to protect the 5%. Our job is to protect those that are trying, those that are studying, those that are, and again, you don't even have to, and some of this is actually doesn't even just come from book reading. You know what I'm saying? Some of this knowledge you could get from an old country lady who's just been sitting in nature and in silence. And that's her way of meditating, her daydreams. And then she gets her downloads. And she ain't read no books. She's just a wise old woman. And she's tapped in the spirit and she's tapped in the nature. And her nature spirits are what guide her. But nowadays we got books, we got the internet. So even though that woman may be good in some way, she's on her right-hand path. You know what I'm saying? Her left-hand path, maybe she needs to get some books and learn some more things and tap into some more things. So let's get into some left-hand path stuff. So let's get into some of these books. So one of the things we want to, of course, is erect the altar. If you don't know how to erect the altar, it's very simple. Get a table, a stand. I've said this before, altar could be anything. The altar could be shit, this cup. You know what I'm saying? It depends on the emotion as I showed you, and the feeling you put behind it, the heart resonance that creates what it is for you. This is how people use things like voodoo dolls, puppets, right? By putting energy into that particular image, that particular puppet, that particular thing. So an altar, there's suggestions for an altar, right? You want to put water on your altar if you can. You want to put a picture of an ancestor, either ones you know, it could be ones you don't know, okay? But you could put a picture of the ancestor, preferably somebody in your family, in your bloodline, right? You could put, some people say don't put your family members on there. I don't think that makes sense to me, because why would I not want my ancestors to bless my family members, my children, my father, my mother, and things like that, right? That doesn't make sense to me. That is just for me. That's selfish. To me, that's my thing. So you put some water. I put my card on my altar. I put my cards, my tarot cards, and all that. Sometimes my crystals. You know what I'm saying? I put some money on there because money represents currency. Even though some people say don't put money on there, but money to me is not the tangible money. Money represents currency. It's an electrical vibe. So me putting $1 or $5 or $10 or $100 on the altar is representative of not only the money that I'm giving my ancestors, but also the money that the energetic connection that I want to receive, because everything is an exchange of energy. When you go and give $1 for 2 fucking apples or something, right, to the grocery store, you give the dollar, which is the dollar means nothing. This only means what we say it is. So it's the energy behind the dollar that gives it value. It only means what we say it is. Say it means. Other than that, it's just a worthless piece of paper. So I'm giving my energy for another form of energy, which is the 2 apples and 2 oranges. So everything is an energy exchange. So I'll put some money on my altar. What else? You could put a statue with a particular deity that you're working with, a statuette, something symbolic. Well, it doesn't even have to be that complex. But again, if you don't have all that, if you're in a certain situation where you can't do that, your altar could be something simple. You know what I'm saying? In American Gods, season 1, there was an episode where the girl, I forgot what my man Sweeney used to call her, dead wife, right? Dead wife. She is coming from, she's basically getting deported because America was originally a prison colony, right? America is originally a prison colony. So that shows you the mentality of people that erected this particular edifice, the system that we're in. So people from England were sent to America as punishment. So a lot of people that already came here and met Black and so-called Native American people that were here. Okay, we've been here before slavery. Don't let nobody tell you that slaves are the only reason that you came here. But anyway, so she was on these ships, right? And she was working with Irish deities. She was working with Sweeney Todd. And every place she went, whether she was in jail, she would take like a little piece of bread and she would put an offering on the top of the jail. If she was on a ship, she would find a way to put an offering someplace on the ship. If she was in the grass, she would find some way to put the offering, right? And she kept leaving these different offerings. So when she died, right, when she actually died, this is before she reincarnated as the dead wife. But when she died, the spirit came and swept her up. You know what I'm saying? Basically kind of saying that, we're going to give you another chance, so to speak. But that's basically was her connection to the ancestral world. And it was what was keeping her alive during these different events. And because I think she got sent to America like 3 times in the show. So it was keeping her alive and protecting her during all these different changes and traumatic things that she was going through. So an altar is, again, the energy and the emotion to what you give a particular physical object. And that particular physical object basically connects you to the ancestral realm. And the ancestral realm is outside of you, the Akashic records, but the Akashic records are also inside of you. And the Akashic records inside of you is called DNA. I'll say it again. The Akashic records are outside of you, some outer space, right? Some people say Orion's belt. Some people say Sirius B, right? But you have Akashic records in you, and that is your DNA. And the way you open the Akashic records in you is through epigenetics. People, places, and things that you surround yourself with, the music you listen to, the TV shows you watch, the social media people you follow, if you're still calling the dichotomy between black and white people, if you still got people triggering, you know what I'm saying? You know these people, I ain't got to say no names, that all they do is show you the next bad black event, the next Karen, the next guy who got shot by the police, the next racist event that happened. But they building a school, they building a museum, where the school is for their glory, basically. Where the museum is for their glory, basically, because who needs a museum? We need solutions. It's 2021. We don't need no museums, fam. No disrespect to the museum. You know what I'm saying? I hope it does get erected. I hope 1 million people go see it. But then what? The internet got all our history. The Kempata got all our history. All the museum stuff that you need is right here. I'm not saying it's not needed, but there's museums. There's Black museums. What has that done to change the trajectory of melanated beings here or on the world stage? I'm just saying. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I don't think so. So, one of the books you guys want to get your hands on. So I broke down the altars. Get you this book, Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs. The reason you want to get your hands on this book, because each herb has a different energy. We're talking about Conjure, all right? Let's just look at some of these. Let's look at some of these things. Let's look at, oh no. So ginger, right? You know you can use ginger in magic, but you can't. All right, ginger is masculine. Says it, ginger is masculine. Mars energy, fire energy, okay? So let's say you're trying to get some money real quick. Let's say you're trying to manifest something real quick. It says it, love, money, success, power, under powers, under ginger right here, okay? So this shows you the different energy depending on what you're doing versus you having a geranium in your magic, Venus, water, fertility, okay? You can use help spells, all right? If someone is having an issue with the Roni, get some geranium, get you a green candle, right? So taking spirit baths. This is one of the tools that's going to help you make Conjure great again. You taking spirit baths, you understanding the different elements and how to use these different herbs in your candle magic, in your spiritual work, even in using different pentacles and things like that, combining your herbs. The reason why these herbs are important and books like these are important is because nature, as I've showed you, has its own spiritual energy. Each leaf, each root, each tree, each bird, each animal has its own spiritual energy. You want to know why they use goats in the occult? Why goats are so prominent? If you guys saw Lovecraft Country, you saw them bring a goat, and the goat was killed to sacrifice. The goat the lady cut the goat's throat, right? The magician lady, when she needed, I forgot what episode was that? I think it was episode 9, but she needed protection. Right, and she called the voodoo woman, right? She called the voodoo woman, and she came through in all white, and she brought a goat with her. And she cut the goat's throat, and basically put the X around the doors so that the spirits would be contained and she would be protected. Because goats climb mountains. Goats represent the highest of the high. Goats. This is why you see Cometians. When you see the King Tuts and the pharaohs, and you see them in the sarcophagus, and you see them having those long beards, like Rob Blackstorm, you know what I'm saying? You see them having these beards, but their beards were made of goat hair because of the energy that a goat has, and the symbolism of a goat being able to climb the highest of heights, meaning that the goat basically is closer to the Most High, or the goat is closer to what is more or higher frequencies or higher vibrations. If you want to look at it scientifically, you don't want to say the Most High, right? But that's why it is used in magic. because of the goat's electromagnetic field, the goat's energy. It climbs, it's a climber. God is a goat that's climbing. You know what I'm saying? This is why goats are also used in your Baphomet imagery, whether you notice or not, okay? I'm here to tell you. So this is, so if each animal, each herb, I just showed you, one herb was representing Venus, one herb was representing Mars. These herbs have different frequencies, different energy, different vibration. So tapping into this book, doing your spirit baths with this book, learning how to, and experimenting, okay? Experimenting. It's gonna help you. This is not an expensive book, but this is something everybody that is on this path should have. It's a must have. And it's a must use as well. And there's some definitions of what the herb should do that, you know, I don't necessarily agree with personally, but that's why you have your own mind. If you feel like, okay, this doesn't fit, utilize it the way spirit is telling you to utilize it. Don't just be a follower of anything. Always use your own mind. Always tap into your own spirit, because you have unique ancestors that have worked with these herbs before. All right. So this is a requirement to make Conjure great again, for you to tap into your spiritual bathroom. We need more people that are working with, and this will be considered hoodoo, by the way. We need more people that are into these type of things, more people that are into herbs and herbal magic. Also, herbs just for your body. Like, do you know, like, if you have anger issues, that's a kidney issue, and you may just need some dandelion tea. You may just need a whole bunch, you know, you just need some dandelion tea or horsetail tea in order to cure, because what happens is stress and trauma is stored in the body. This is why chakra movement, actually, let's go into that. I didn't even touch into that. This is why chakra movement is so important, because a lot of these organs, oh wait, I didn't share this back there. Hold up. Let's do this. All right, so that's why these organs are important, because certain herbs tonify the body. This is science that we knew. This is science that was passed along during oral traditions. My mama's cooking. Shout out to Kwame Brown. My mama's cooking has given me some of these herbs, you know what I'm saying, that has helped myself, you know, go through certain things. My mom has a particular herb. I don't even remember the name of it. But if you have like pain in your back and your leg, you wrap this shit on around your body, you wrap this shit around your legs, and I tell you, within 24 hours, you go to sleep, that shit will be gone. I got hit by a car. I was running through I was young, running through the street, drunk. Boom, car hit me. It hit me so hard that my shoe flew across the street. My mama got this big ass leaf, wrapped it around my leg, and I was like hobbling, you know what I'm saying? Hobbling. And I was close to home, so I was able to go home, but I was hobbling. I thought my leg was fucked up. She put that shit around. The next day I was walking like nothing happened. There's science in these herbs if you study them, not just to use for magic, but to use to heal the body, to use to heal these different chakra points. Let's briefly go into how our body works, okay? So let's start with the root chakra, okay? The chakras in the endocrine system. The root chakra, spine, glandular system, okay? A lot of people say the root chakra starts with your testicles. That is incorrect, okay? So this is, the root chakra actually starts with your testicles. Your ovaries, if you're a woman, are just your balls that are inside, all right? Ovaries look like, and that's an ovary, they look like balls, all right? So they're usually just inner balls, all right? And so that is your sacral chakra. That is where, basically, that is where the seat of your emotions, actually. Your emotions are tied into your sexual energy, whether you know it or not. Whenever you have a feeling of fear, it holds you back, it restricts you, right? So it also minimizes your joy is tied into your sexual energy, whether you know it or not. The happier you are, the more sexual you are, right? And if you have sex on a regular basis, you're usually much more happy. We know people who don't have sex on a regular basis, they're usually cranky. This is just a fact. No one has to tell you that. You should be old enough to see that on your own. So you're tied into your sexual energy. So your root chakra is tied to your spine, basically the beginning of your glandular system. Your sacral chakra, your sexual energy, or your emotional energy, which is tied to your sexual energy. This just says chakra, spleen, or liver, but your liver is a filter. It basically filters your blood. So also your spleen filters your blood and purifies your blood, okay? The solar plexus chakra, your adrenals, so your adrenaline, okay? Your adrenaline, when you are moving towards something, there's adrenaline going. When you are making a move, there's adrenaline. Your adrenal glands are on top of your kidneys. Your kidney is basically a filter. So herbs that work, so if you have solar plexus issues, look at herbs that help this particular body part. Look at herbs that help and work with the ovaries and testes. If you're having, issues with these particular chakras, if you're having anger issues, look at spleen and liver, herbs that detoxify. I'm not going to go into these because I think I've been on here for like almost 3 hours already. But again, these are things you can look up online. All right. If you're having solar plexus issues, okay, the pancreas, what it does, it converts your food into fuel. So the food that you eat, it converts it to fuel. So when you're eating a lot of bullshit, all right, that doesn't give you a lot of fuel, your pancreas is what takes that energy or doesn't give you energy, all right? And it's what controls your adrenals, which makes sense, okay? So, and these are your kidneys right here, bang, bang, all right? Your adrenals, bang, bang, and the pancreas, okay? So your food, the fuel is converted, your kidneys is the filters, and your adrenals say, okay, this is going to give me energy, this is going to reduce my energy. So when you're thinking a negative thought, food for thought, same thing happens. So your solar plexus chakra is responsible for your mental energy. All right, let's go up to the heart, which is basically the balancing chakra. We explained the heart produces the electromagnetic field. The thymus is a part of your body. This is right between your lungs on the spine. And basically the thymus is when I believe it's 13, your thymus reduces, and it's what they produce called T cells. If you know T cells, you've probably heard of T cells dealing with HIV or AIDS. People with low T cell count are more subject to dying from HIV or AIDS, and people with high T cell counts are able to survive and live longer with HIV or AIDS. So your T cells this is basically corresponds to your lymph gland. So you want to look at herbs that deal with T cells, that deal with lymph nodes, lymph glands, how to deal with the lymphs, so to speak. Lymph is spelled L-Y-P, lymph. Anyway, look at it. Sound it out in your phone. And you can look at herbs that detoxify you that way. This is making Conjure. This is Conjure for real. Like, this is real Conjure. This has nothing to do with an altar. This has nothing to do with a pentagram. This has nothing to do with a spell. This is conjuring the best part of you, the highest part of you, unlocking these chakras for real, for real. And herbs are what's going to do it. Herbs are what's going to do it. Herbs will help do it, all right? So, and this deals with your immunity, how you're protected, okay? Your heart is important. Do you have a heavy heart? Do you have a heart that's filled with pain, a heart that's filled with hurt? They say that stress lowers your immune system. Anger lowers your immune system. Anxiety lowers your immune system. That's connected to the heart, which connected to your T cells. So it all makes sense, even scientifically, when you look at the chakras and you understand that they come from glands on the endocrine system. I could have did a whole live just on this. I should have, but this should probably come back up again. Throat chakra, all right? Your thyroid, parathyroid. This is what signals, your hypothalamus basically shoots hormones through your body, and your parathyroid regulates where these are going. But we know your parathyroid or your throat chakra also deals with how you speak and what you speak and what you utter. So it's the energy that's directly coming from the brain that's going to come through the throat. But we know the throat and speaking also is done in the mind as well. So again, you want to look at herbs and crystals as well, right? Crystals for each one of these. Looking at, if you look at the colors of the chakra, which I won't get into on this video. The third eye pituitary gland, again, herbs to help the pituitary gland. And the third eye is also, this is the pituitary gland, but I would also counter and say not only the pituitary, but the third eye is consistent of more than just one gland. The third eye is the limbic system's main glands, which are the amygdala. The amygdala is, so the way the brain works is, the first thing that happens is your amygdala takes into emotion. So if the amygdala says this is a good emotion or a bad emotion. I see Westbrook wearing a dress. The amygdala says, damn, this is bad. It goes to your hippocampus next, right? Part of your limbic system, which I discussed earlier. The hippocampus says, okay, let me remember that this is going to stress him out when he sees this. So next time he sees it, I automatically am stressed out, or I automatically feel sick to my stomach, or whatever you feel. Automatically don't give a fuck, right? Whatever you feel. And then your hypothalamus shoots out hormones, right? And your pituitary gland regulates that, and then it goes down to your throat, to your thyroid and parathyroid, right? So, and then, so you have that. And then you have the crown chakra, which is your pineal gland, which deals with melatonin, serotonin regulation, melatonin, where you get these beautiful dreams at night, visions, and your serotonin, which regulates the mood, but which is primarily comes from your gut area, your liver, your sacral, and your solar plexus chakra. All right. So that's where we talk about, do you have guts and stuff like that. But there's herbs for all of these different parts of the body. If you are really trying to conjure, make conjure great again, and really conjure the best part of yourself, meaning making your body a vehicle for spirit, really getting these downloads and uploads. There are things you have to do. It's called spiritual work because there is work involved. Okay, this is not spiritual ease. If you want spiritual ease, go back to church. Go back to church, listen to the choir, get your Bible, and be inspired for 1 or 2 days and go right back into your fear base, because that's what most Christians are doing right now. They're going right back into their fear base. They're the ones that's taking the hokey pokey, all right? They're the ones that's shaming people for not taking the hokey pokey. I follow some of y'all online. I know what's up. You know what I'm saying? And this is really a test of your faith, because if you believe in Jesus this much, right, then you wouldn't be spreading this type of venom and be telling people to do some of the things that some of y'all are telling people to do. But I digress. But again, this is a way to tonify the body. It's a way to heal the body. And there's herbs for all of this. Herbs for all of this. Let's just do this example. You have throat chakra issues. You can't speak up. You see this? Now this is supplements, but look, 14 best herbs. So you have issues with your throat chakra. You don't speak up enough. You're not confident speaking. Siberian ginseng, echinacea. I'm just showing an example. Bugle, bacopa, bladderwrack, black walnut. Black walnut also is a good bath if you need to break up with somebody. If you have a bad relationship with somebody and you need to break up with them, take a black walnut bath. It'll help you clear that energy. You might need to do that like 2 or 3 days in a row, but after that second or third day, that energy and that stress will lift up off of you, and that hurt and pain will lift up off of you, and you'll start to move different. Ginger, nettle, primrose. Okay, so you know what I'm saying? So this is, so again, some of these things you're not just going to get from grandma sitting out and, you know, getting downloads, but remember, we come from a culture that things were passed down from word of mouth. So a lot of these things, you know, a lot of things my mom specifically knows and showed me, was things that she got from her own mother. You know what I'm saying? But I got Google. You know what I'm saying? I got Google. I got the internet now. So I'm able to even improve on my mother's design. You understand? So I just want to, another book. So these are the powers of herbs, okay? Another book I want to show y'all. So this book is probably, I don't know, it's probably $14, $15 on Amazon. I ain't getting nothing from short. I ain't getting no money for showing y'all this. I just want y'all to be great. Because the more downloads y'all get, the more information you can give me. You know what I'm saying? If I leave, y'all can help my daughters. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can have better children. So the better y'all are, the better the world is, the better it is for me. The more y'all tune into y'all magic and healing, the better it is for me, okay? Better it is for the world, actually. Another book, Working Conjure, okay? And I'm trying to give you books that are under $20 because I don't want you to go breaking the bank, okay? This is another great book, A Guide to Hoodoo Folk Magic. Talks about herbs, the herb, stuff like that. Let me see if I could show y'all something real quick. All right, I'm just gonna read something that I highlighted. Okay, so this chapter is called The Condition of Conjure. It says, when I say roots, I am referring to every part of the plant. That includes the root, the leaf, the stem, the flowers, even the seeds. The term root is an umbrella term for all of these things in the parlance of conjure. It says, the conjure man works at dusk. The day is for the living and the night is for the dead, okay? It is about the unseen. The unseen is like a veil worn by a bride, okay? This is the subconscious mind again. Offerings are quite important because they are conduits of balance. If something is given, then something is taken. If something is taken, then something is given. Okay? So, you know, and it also has spells in here as well. You know, I'm at the point where I create my own spells, but if you need some help in spells, this also not only has working theory and knowledge so that you can understand what you're doing, but it also has some spells that you can get into and start working with to do your own conjure, using hoodoo, okay? And really get what you're doing, all right? Study is important if you really want to do this, okay? You need some money, some bread. This book, I think this book is $7. John Randolph Price, okay? Powerful book. It's a tiny little book. It's only about, let's say, this book I probably read about 3 times already at different stages of my life. I'm just opening it up, okay? It says, understand, this is a prosperity compilation. So this is, so in here, there's a 40-day prosperity, and this actually helped shift my mindset. Because I used to have dreams about being abundant when I was younger. And because of the household I grew up in, you know, my mom was very Christian, stay humble, you know, don't do this, you know, think this way, you know, all type of just small-minded thinking, you know what I'm saying? Not abundant thinking, just small-minded, conservative, you know, fearing anything new, that type of mindset. So it would stunt my perspective about getting money, my perspective about being abundant, my perspective about things being out of my league or out of my way of getting things, right? And when I read this book helped me put things, and I did the, what is it called? The 40, I think it's a 40-day. And basically you just go through different affirmations, write them down and stuff like that. And he calls money my own natural energy yield. So money is my own natural energy yield. And once I got that, it made a lot of sense. So as I always tell you, you are the money, okay? When you go in an interview, you're presenting yourself as the money, as an asset. You're trying to convince the other person that you're money, right? When you are working, doing a job, or have your own business, you're the money. You're producing, you're creating, you're coming up with the business plan. You're doing the shipping, you're putting the package together, you're marketing. you are the money. Or even if you're putting the funds up, you're the money. All right, having someone else run it, you're still the money behind it. So it's all you. So it's my own natural energy, your money. But recognize that it's the will of God for you to be wealthy. Understand that there is not anything that even resembles lack, limitation, or poverty in God consciousness. You were born to be rich. You are the offspring of the infinite abundance of the universe, okay? Do not delay your demonstration by holding in mind the idea of receiving your good tomorrow. God works in the now. Now is the accepted time. If you live in the future, your prosperity will always be one day ahead of you. So when you're meditating, when you're doing this, you're doing your breath work, now you have these guided meditations, now you have this mantras that I've given you, now you have the alternative breathing that I've given you, now you have the book of herbs. Now you are able to process things in the now. You don't want to think, oh, in the future. Everything exists in the now. And your emotions have to simultaneously coincide with your left brain thought and your right brain vision. Your emotions have to coincide with that in order to make it a reality. So you have to feel it in that meditation session. You have to feel it in those daydreams. You have to feel it when you're driving in your car. You have to feel it when you're taking the train and the bus to work. You have to feel it during these times so that you can make it a reality and these things will manifest in real life for you, all right? So it says abundance in the physical world is the outpouring of the prosperity consciousness. So work from within. The higher your consciousness, the greater your prosperity. Again, another great book, abundance book, highly, highly recommended. This book is about $7, maybe $8 on Amazon. Power of the Psalms. You might have seen this. I've seen other people talk about this. Psalms is a great way to use Psalms when you're working with these herbs, when you're doing your spell work, okay? When you're doing candle magic, you can put a lot of these herbs in your candle, which is, I'm sure you guys have been on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. You've seen people that are into the occult, into Conjure, they're putting these herbs on the candles. You could do this too. All you need to do is learn and know what you're doing, okay? I don't get into specific spells and stuff here because everybody has different spells that they do. One person's spell may not work for another person, but the herbs have their own spirit. They have their own energy. They have their own deity to them, their own individual powers. The Psalms shows you how the Bible is basically just an old book of spells, but the Psalms are very powerful. And this is you using that words, that throat chakra, that thyroid gland, engaging and activating those T cells to use these words, use this book that billions of people are using unconsciously, right? Because people are using this book, whether you believe in it or not, and tap into their wave, because that's really what you're doing, tapping into their wave and using that book as a magical book so you can do certain things. I'm not really going to read this. This is something that you should read on your own, depending on what you need to do. But there's various scriptures in here, in the Psalms, that you can tap in from various different things as you see. Blessing or hexing, all right? Very powerful book, highly recommended. And I think this book is $8 also. If you are needed to understand symbolism, this is a good book, good starter book, Power of Myth. There's also a video by Joseph Campbell. Any book by Joseph Campbell is great. He has a bigger version that's more expensive with illustrations. But you could also tap into this book just to read it. It reads like a very good story between him and Bill Moyers, who was on PBS. Let's see. So this is just, I'm just looking at something I highlighted. Movement is time, but stillness is eternity. Deep. Movement is time, but stillness is eternity. Realizing how this moment of your life is actually a moment of eternity and experiencing the eternal aspect of what you're doing in the temporal experience. This is the mythological experience. There's a definition of God which has been repeated by many philosophers. God is an intelligible sphere, a sphere known to the mind, not to the senses, whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. All right. So basically what he's saying is once you tap into your inner self, you're tapping into your eternal self and your infinite self. And once you're dealing with this physical, tangible world, you're dealing with a limited expression of what you truly are, which is infinite, God-like, electromagnetic being made up of dark matter, dark energy, dark radiation, and the background of the very cosmos itself, okay? So that's Joseph Campbell, Power of Men. And this will also help you be able to become a great decoder as well. But anything by Joseph Campbell is really good. Even his videos on YouTube, you can check out. All right. You want to understand what's going down the pipe economically, okay? What's happening, the price of tomorrow. This is another great book. I read this last year by Jeff Booth. This is a book about, let me just read it. It says, we live in an extraordinary time. Technological advances are happening at a faster rate than our ability to understand them in a world that moves faster than we can imagine. We need to build a new framework for our local and global economies, and soon. Otherwise, the same technology that has the power to bring abundance to us and our world will instead destroy it. In this extraordinary contrarian book, Jeff Booth, a leading mind and CEO in commerce and technology, details the technological and economic realities shaping our present and future and the choices we make going forward, blah, blah, blah. So this is a book, he talks about DeFi, he talks about fintech, talks about cryptocurrency, talks about inflation and deflation. Very, very good book, all right? Oh, something that you want. It's an easy read once you get into it too. So that's why I like this book a lot. And it helps you kind of understand what's going on with the world, because you want to know what's going on besides being magical and shit like that. You just want to know what's going on. And again, you want to be prepared for the future. That's why I tied this video, being prepared for 2022. Because all these things, you tapping into the ancestral realm is going to lead you to all these things, all right? And another book I want to recommend is this book. This book is a little more expensive on Amazon. I believe you can get this on, you can Google this, there's other websites you can get it from as well. But this is the Initiate's Guide to Daily Meditation. It breaks down the Kemetic tree of life. Some of you guys work with the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is some shit from the French, okay? The Knights Templar are French. They're not my ancestors. So, but if you want to work with the Kabbalah and you like Had and Yesod and using those different terms and language, that's perfectly fine. I'd rather work with Osir, Set, Heru, and people that resonate with my ancestry, my bloodline resonates with me. So I work with this book. I love this book because it's quick. There is another book, obviously, Metal Netter, which is much bigger, but it's much more detailed. This book is easier to read. There's a lot more, let me pull up some. It's a lot more information that is here. And let me see. Somehow I can't find it. But maybe I did. But anyway, it's another good book. This is, again, a great book if you want to understand. And this book will help you understand the Kabbalah, the Kabbalistic tree of life as well. Once you learn this, the Kabbalah is nothing to you. You can see the Kabbalah and understand, oh, okay, this is what this means, this is what that means, this is what this means. When I looked at the Kabbalah, I was like, I'm never going to understand this shit. No disrespect, but I know there's people out there who's studious enough who have. But to me, this is a better system, even than the Kabbalistic system. All right. So again, another one. And last but not least, Rituals of Santeria. This is another good one. Just so you can understand different spiritual systems. Again, another easy read. This book has a lot of spells. Talks about Ifa and the Ogun and Legba. If you want to understand the Yoruba, you can understand it great with this. Yoruba and Santeria kind of go together. All right. I understand Baba Laos, the different deities and stuff like that. Just show you a little bit of the chapters here. Okay, see the power of herbs, divination, initiations. All right, so these are tools that you could get during the winter. You ain't going outside. Everything's gonna be locked down. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got the hokey pokey. There's not much you're gonna be able to do, right? So get your read on, get your study on. Learn these concepts because the world is gonna go on with or without you. The world's gonna go on with or without you, and you're gonna be left behind. If you're not, knowledge is the key. Information is what keeps you from ignorance. And once you are in certain situations, that's when you are able to apply that knowledge. But if you don't have that knowledge, how can you apply it in certain situations? How can you apply it when things is hitting bad? How can you conjure up a spell to magnetically attract the solution to your problem when things ain't hitting right, when things ain't going right? So the information is very important. And winter is here, winter is coming, okay? Actually, winter is here. With the speech that Biden had, where he said, we've been patient, and we've ran out of patience, winter is here. So again, it's up to you how you want to handle it. It's your life at the end of the day. For me, I'd rather be informed, I'd rather be prepared, and I'd rather have information I could give my children so that they're prepared as well. And I could give those that I love so that they're prepared as well. With that said, thank you guys for coming. I appreciate the commentary. If you can, please hit the like button if this helped you in any way, shape, or form.